here with Dew Onion, and we're going to go on a word, what's up? And we're going to go on a little bush trip again here. So I'm going to go ahead and turn my aircraft on, get it all started up here. And flight plan is loaded. You can get that on my Discord, or just ask me politely, and I will get it to you somehow. Give you my Discord information. But looks like, all right, altimeter is 3021 right now here at North Las Vegas Air Terminal. We are going to go without VADSIM today only because they don't let you fly into Area 51. So, and that's where we're going to end up, Nevada Test Site and Area 51 and all that other stuff, and they don't like that. So we don't have special permission, so we're not going to do that. But batteries on, alternators on. Let's see here. Put our beacon on, and we'll go ahead and clear prop and starter. Awesome. Ooh, that's a little bit quieter than I was expecting. Let's turn that up. I like to hear that throaty roar of the, what is it, a Continental IO 360 or something like that engine. It's powerful. Yeah, that's what you're going to say. Yeah, okay. Let's see here. Avionics master on. Everything else is good. So yeah, let's go ahead and taxi out here at North Las Vegas. And I think the wind is out of the, I want to say it's out of the north right now. Let's double check here. Flight plan cruise altitude. No wind has been loaded. Okay. All right, so let's talk about our route real quick here. So we're going to fly, if you're looking at my my little nav map, here, I'll make that bigger real quick. I'll make it bigger nav map. We're going to fly up over Mount Charleston first, which is just to over there, kind of at our 10 o'clock. Pop down into Pahrump. We've got Flying S Ranch, which is just a little private strip to the north of town. Back over to Amargosa Junction, or Death Valley Junction, I should say, Amargosa Air Park. Down through, so State Route 190, Zabriskie Point, which is just a beautiful overlook for Death Valley, and then we're going to fly right into Furnace Creek Airport. So that's the lowest airport in the United States, 210 feet below sea level. Over to Stovepipe Wells, which I've heard now, reading a report that they're trying to close that airport. So that's not cool. But Stovepipe Wells Airport, also in Death Valley National Park. Back out, we'll go to Beatty, do a landing there. This little airport here called Beatty Airport is actually, it's funny because they name all these airports that they don't know the name of. They just name them like these random names, like Beatty Airport. No, Beatty Airport is actually the kind of a long asphalt strip down there. This one is actually used to be called Franstar Ranch, named after the brothel there. So we'll land at Franstar. That's back in the day. I only know that because I used to read the sectional charts. We'll pause the stream for 15. So then we're going to fly over Yucca Mountain, the nuclear waste repository, which is located in the whole Nevada National Security Area. Now it's what it's called, but it used to be called the Nevada Test Site. And we'll get way more into that. I see somebody on the stream who may know more about this than me, because he may or may not live in this area. But and then head into the Jackass Flats area, Area 25. I want to see if the old Bren Tower is still in game, or if they got rid of it before the aerial photo was taken and it's not in there. We'll talk about all these places as we go through them. Desert Rock Airport, Mercury, the old control point, head up to Frenchman Flat where they did all the atmospheric testing, then Yucca Flat where they did all the underground testing, back to Pahut Mesa, Rainier Mesa, or say Buckboard Mesa is waypoint 9, Rainier Mesa is waypoint 10. We'll fly over the Sedan crater, which is a huge crater out there where they actually used to practice the moon rovers. And then over to Area 51, Groom Lake Airstrip, also known as Homey. And then out of there, we'll kind of fly up to Rachel, and I want to land on the highway there next to Rachel and see if we can see the little alien. which is the little bar. Okay, all right, Wazinski, let's get in here. That's great. I'm glad your sim's back up and working. I want to land next to the black mailbox, see if it's in the sim. I doubt it is, because it's kind of tiny, but that's kind of a famous UFO lore. Fly over Tikaboo Peak, and then Alamo. So this should take us about roughly 3 hours. So buckle in if you guys got to pop out. I understand completely. This is a long flight. The Death Valley thing kind of made it ambitious, but I really like Death Valley and have a lot of memories from there, really good memories. So, Wazinski, pop in whenever you can. We're at VGT, and we're just gonna go ahead and taxi out right now. So let's go taxi over to where are we on the field? Let's see. Okay, we're actually kind of pointed the way we need to go here, so we're going to just turn around. So follow me, Duanian, and we're just going to do a little intersection departure right here midfield on 30 left, as long as nobody else is coming in or out here. I don't see anybody. So I set local time to be about 8 a.m. Doing live weather, of course. The weather looks good out here right now, and I'm in the Tundra Cargo X-Cub, big old wheels, because we might do some unimproved field landings. So, Duanyan's with me. Let's do a formation takeoff. So I'll get on here. Oh, I'm sorry. Yep. I'll make it smaller. Sorry. Thanks for pointing that out. There. Make that small again. All right, you ready? And go. Somebody just flew over the top of us. Oh, we made him do a missed approach. I'm sure he's about happy with us. And we're going to take off right into him, too, which will make him even happier. I looked out there. I didn't see him, but I guess I missed him. Yeah, you overtook me. Your plane's gonna be a little bit faster than mine, just a slight bit. So just because I've got that big old cargo pod. F Dog, what's up tonight? Good to see you. Doing some lurking. Oh, hey, I went on course here. Heading about 260 is what I'm going to take right now. And I'll go ahead and RPM's back to 2,500 in the climb. I'm going to mixture back just a little bit too. And mixture. So now I don't think it's actually I don't think the 215, which is the high performance version of the X-Cub, actually has a mixture control. If I'm not mistaken, I think that's a little obsolete for this aircraft, but they left it in the sim because I don't think there's a way around it at this point. But the mixture is basically for a carbureted engine, and you are basically automatically controlling the rate of fuel to air mixture. So as you climb in a carbureted aircraft versus fuel injected, I believe the real 250, the Cub X-Cub 215 is fuel injected, so it doesn't have a full-on mixture control. If I remember correctly, it's all electronic. But it's got a FADEC in it, I believe, which is a digital control. But a carbureted engine in an aircraft is going to be a manual mixture like that, where you are. So as you go up in altitude, the air gets thinner, so you don't need as much fuel in that given situation as you would in thicker air. So you actually have to pull the mixture back. It's called leaning it out, and that gives you more horsepower, more power for the engine and everything else. It also gives you better fuel economy. So we lean that mixture back to like peak exhaust gas temperature. So if you look at the bottom right of your display there, it says EGT degrees Fahrenheit, and it says 1418. We go to peak of that, so we pull that back until that kind of sits at its highest. We just had a mid-air right there. We pull that air back until it gets at its highest, and then maybe go just a little bit. So the opposite of lean is rich. So mixture forward is rich. We go a little bit rich of that to cool it off just a tad, and that's your best economy. So we use that for power and economy. But I don't think this aircraft, like I said, I don't think this aircraft actually has a mixture in real life. I may be wrong about that, but it's something we're gonna. I know, right? I know. That. Yeah, exactly. Oh, I can close that. Let's close the flight plan window there. You guys can see exactly where we are. Okay. So yeah, we're just going to keep on going uphill here. So right now, kind of flying over like Summerlin. If you look down below us, all the golf courses and planned subdivisions. Newer area of Las Vegas. First time I went to Vegas, I don't think any of these houses were out here. So, and then to the north of us is Highway 95. That goes back up towards eventually to Fallon and close to Reno. You can kind of get there from here. So my father used to make the drive from Las Vegas. Well, he actually was living in Reno just before I was born, and he and my mom, and he was a salesman for IBM, and he would make the drive from Reno to Las Vegas a couple times a month. And he actually, one time he fell asleep, flipped his car. He had a Porsche, and he flipped it. He was on 95. No, not really. I mean, there are some what I want to say. There are some segments that kind of get into hilly and a little bit rocky terrain, but nothing serious mountain. Nuh-uh. Between Vegas and Reno, there's a lot of valleys. This is all basin and range, so the roads kind of follow the basins mostly. Like I said, there's a couple passes. You get up near like Tonopah, and there's a couple little areas of mountains and hills, but nothing too serious. Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. You have the whole Sierra Nevada between Nevada and the Central Valley of California, Stockton, Sacramento, Fresno, Bakersfield, etc. So yeah, you definitely went through some mountains there. There's no way to get out of most of California without going through some mountains. But Nevada's a little different. I mean, it's oriented. If you look at my map, I'll zoom it out real quick before it zooms itself back in. There's too many airports on there. You can't see anything. You see there's a lot of these ranges, and there are a lot of them are parallel to each other. And in between each one of those is a basin, and then the roads mostly follow the basins. So you have 95, which kind of goes up this way, if anybody can see that. And the only place it really gets into any hills or anything, like I said, is kind of around Tonopah. Otherwise, it's mostly pretty flat. I mean, it goes right next to some mountains. No, that's okay. That's all. Yeah. Good pun. Good segue. He obviously he pretty much walked away from it. Very lucky. I don't think I would have been born if he hadn't. And because I don't want to go there. But but yeah, he got lucky. And But I remember he would always talk about like some of the lore being out there in the middle of Nevada. It's a very bombed up place. It's one of the most bombed up places on Earth, both by conventional weapons and by nuclear weapons. And he remembers seeing a lot of flashes out in the desert at night, from bombs dropping and things like that. So still a miracle I was born. Yeah, there's a lot of reasons for that actually. Yeah. But we're going to head back over that way. So if you look out our right wing at our 3 o'clock there, over those mountains is where the Nevada test site is, and we'll head up there after we circle around. So this is the ambitious part of the flight, is doing all of this. I actually landed on Mount Charleston last night. I just did a quick flight over to Pahrump just to test out the Tundra and my new setup here. I got some new toys for my setup, and I connected my old computer that I put in mothballs after I got this new rig for flight simming, and so I've got little nav map running on that too on a third screen. So I got everything kind of running right now, and we've got almost a little sim pit going. Thank you. I like it right now. This is the most I've ever put into any setup. Normally it's just like whatever works, but this has been fun. This has been just a trip to actually have something that I look forward to coming home and messing around with. Yes. Yeah. Maybe I should have said that first. Well, hindsight being 2020. Oh, nope. Love you, honey. Yeah, she's probably not watching. That's right. We are officially in 2021. Let's see here. Roll out my map a little bit here, and I was gonna set up my CDI with the GPS course. There we go. Now I feel like I'm navigating, hand flying everything. I just always feel like hand flying. Mount Charleston, I want to say, is about 11,000, just under 12,000 feet. So I'm gonna level off here at 12,500. Good VFR westbound cruise altitude, and let's see what that looks like as we go around it. Backside of the mountain, there are some pretty good valleys to fly down as well. What I noticed about this yesterday is I think the simulator does this on purpose, is there is snow on the north faces of a lot of these lower ridges, and there's no snow on the sun facing, the southward facing ridges, which I think is totally awesome. Yeah, that is total attention to detail. And that's where the snow is thinner. As you get up higher in elevation, the snow is thicker, and it's kind of 360 degrees coverage for the most part. But I think that's pretty cool. There is a little town up here called Mount Charleston, and if you look down there, there's a valley, and there's a road going in there, and you can see. I actually see a little traffic circle down there. There's a little town back up in there, and I think there's a bunch of camps and maybe some skiing. But this is like Vegas's big backdrop mountain, kind of in the distance, obviously, but not 25 miles from the city. Yeah, you definitely got a couple extra knots on me here with that smaller Cub. Yeah. Well, I'm only doing about 92 indicated. But I've got that red line too. My red line is showing right at 100. I got to stop trying to do fighter maneuvers in this thing. I've crashed it now 3 times in the last, not yesterday, but on Monday night, because I was trying to fly this thing like an extra 300 or an F-16, and it's just not meant for that. I think that's probably the obvious statement of the day, but I thought it was a little bit more aerobatic, a little more maneuverable than it is, but I can't even pull a split S in this thing without overspeeding it. No, not purchased. This is freeware. This is done by Carbon Prop, and oh yes, yeah, it's just big tires. It's just an option. It's not actually a different model aircraft. It's just big tires put on there. Absolutely. More parasite drag, more form drag. So you're going to lose a couple knots airspeed and fuel economy, but not too much though. It's in a little bit more weight too, obviously, but it's not as bad as one thinks. So what I'm going to do after I fly over the peak here is I'm going to head downhill pretty quickly. What if I said come about? I'd say come again. What show? What show? No, I said what show? That was, oh, you know? That was Friends. That's where Rachel was teaching Joey how to drive the boat, sail the boat, I should say. It's got some pretty good one-liners. It's gorgeous in here. I disagree. Okay. All right. I see what okay. I can take that back a little bit. I get that a little bit. I think some of the humor in there is maybe a little bit dated, but overall though, it's I think it's all. I think it's pretty good. I think the jokes still land, but maybe it is for old people. You know, maybe it's our version of like All in the Family. Sardine Brothers. The Sardine Brothers? I think I know you. Thanks for the follow. I only know one Sardine Brothers. Well, I know two of them. They are a band. It must have been. It must have been. Yeah. Absolutely. So thanks for the follow. Thanks for watching. We are heading just past Mount Charleston, in outside of Las Vegas. You're with Charlie Foxtrot and Duanian, and we're just heading downhill right now. Hey Joe. I didn't want to say your name. I didn't know if you like the anonymity here, but welcome. Thank you. Flying into Pahrump, Nevada right now. So we got a quite an ambitious flight here. So you can pop in, pop out, but appreciate it either way. We're going to head after this, kind of heading towards Death Valley, which is kind of a ways out there yet. It's just past those mountains out there. We're going to do a couple landings. We're in a bush aircraft, so we're going to do some bush flying in these little tiny airports that barely exist. And then we're going to head up to the Nevada test site where they did all the nuke testing up into the 90s. And then over to Area 51, Groom Lake, get some action. Maybe see some exotic aircraft. or nothing. The truth is out there. Okay, so this airport we're landing at right now is called Flying S Ranch. It has two itty-bitty runways, and let me just make sure that we are... Doctor, greetings and salutations. We are doing great. We are just kind of heading into Pahrump right now. If you want to fly with us or catch us, we're at, coming into Flying S Ranch, and we're going to do a just a touch and go there, and then head over to Amargosa. So just flying around southern Nevada right now, doing a loop. Going to go see some national security interests, and then end our flight just outside the national security interest, because I don't think it's a place you want to spend the night. That was well done. That was well done. Let's see here. Yeah, we've got about 6 miles to the airport. Looks like runway 3 is in use right now. It's going to be normally a left traffic runway. But because it's private, we're going to make it a right traffic runway today. So we'll enter the downwind from this side of the runway. So if I was calling on the radio, I'd say something like Cub 4 Charlie Foxtrot, 6 miles west or east inbound for stop and go runway 3. And then have to stay the night in order to see the aliens. Oh, man. Well, we are going to stop at the Little Alien, or Little Alien in Rachel. I'd like to. No, Doc Dort, you always come in with like these awesome suggestions, and I looked on FlightSim.2, and I did not see the Area 51 scenery on there. So, nope, I did not get it. Am I going to regret that? I always look in the wrong places. It's because I'm myopic, and I also had a meeting that went really long, so I'm like, I was pretty tired by the end of that meeting. I was just like, do I want to do this tonight? Do I really want to do this tonight? I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm going to do it. Got my new setup. I really have to break it in, so. Unfortunately, I had to pay attention too much to do too much in the background during that. You gave me the links. Oh, to the Las Vegas. You did. But I guess I didn't think about that was Area 51 as well. I didn't even, I wasn't aware, so I'll have to check that out. New setup, yeah, I got some new toys here, Begotten. Not much in the way of for the sim itself. More, I'm just accessorizing, I guess. Hooked up my old computer, so I've got a third monitor going, and it's connected to little nav map as well, so I can kind of look up and see the sectional charts and everything else like that. And then I've got new keyboard, an RGB. Oh, it had both, man. Well, maybe I'll have to jump out at one point and or download that in the background, jump out, put it in community, and then jump back in. Maybe that's what we have to do. Because yeah, I do want to see that. That would be cool. It should only take a few minutes once I find it. I am making good time. Winds are favorable. All right, so we're downwind right now. Kind of a wide downwind right there. The airport is just that little. It's barely there. This is one of those like. Yeah, it does look like it's in a crater. It's almost. Oh no. Yeah, the elevation model's all wonky. We're gonna have to maybe land next to the runway. Good call on that one. See, that's why you always fly over a uncharted airport before you land there. But yeah, we're right downwind for runway 3. We'll see if we can make this. If on final, if it looks too bowed in the middle there, we might have to go around and just skip it. Calvada Meadows Airport's just off to our, let's see, 10 o'clock or so. Yeah, it's right there, actually. 10 o'clock. All right, let's keep her in tight. Drop flaps, prop forward, mixture forward, fuel pump on, landing light on. Landing checklist complete. A little bit high here. High in the aeronautical sense. Oh, you are where? I don't even under. Oh, you are. Yeah, you're landing with a tailwind. Oh yeah, that's it. That's in a little like a ravine. So whatever, however they downloaded the elevation for this, it did not match their surrounding scenery, and it's putting it in a hole. It's in the hole. I'm gonna hit that fuel truck. Get out of my way, fuel truck. Yeah, he got out of my way. He knew what was good for him. All right, I don't know if I can. I don't think I've got enough climb power to get out of that little, so I'm going to back taxi just a little bit here. You did? Okay, I'm just going to go right back to the end of the runway and go again. Throw the floats on. Yeah, I saw that the betas are out, huh? If yeah, there's not much water around here. That's the only problem. I am going to do that though, Begotten. I'm going to probably mess around with that maybe tomorrow night up at Lake Tahoe or something. Throw the floats on. That's a great idea. Didn't want to for today though, just because I just want to complete this. This is an actual plan that I've got here. I wanted to continue my my little bush flight around the entire western United States, because that's what this is going to end up being. Oh, let's go to VX. Oh, baby. Let's get out of here. That's one heck of a 50-foot obstacle. Oh, Begotten. Okay, no. So the guy who designs planes, the aircraft models for Bush League Legends, he created a model of the X Cub with floats. So that's actually in beta right now. I'm sorry, I forgot. Yeah, you don't fly with us, but yeah, he's got a brand new model with floats, and people are testing it out and loving it. So yeah, there's a float plane version of this. Sorry, I thought you were aware of that. Didn't mean to assume. But yeah, that's something I might do tomorrow night though. I might try the float plane version of this up at Lake Tahoe. So got the Tundra version on tonight. Got the cargo pod on the bottom and the big old tires. So, but yeah, we've got a ski version now and a float version in beta. Absolutely, yeah. Please do. And if anybody knows anything about these areas too that want to add, feel free. I know this stuff just from years of reading and visiting occasionally, but some of you guys are actually closer to this. All right, I'm going to head up over this mountain here. We're going to head up to, I think we'll peak it out at about 6,000 or so. Down into Amargosa, and then down into Death Valley. Made this drive at one point. Drove over to Pahrump, to Death Valley Junction, and down to Zabriskie Point. I did that with my wife, and I don't think we were married yet. I think that was a year before we were married. Let's see, we ate at a Chipotle in Denver. We ate at I can't remember the name of the restaurant, but went to a restaurant in Moab and had Mexican food. And it was really good, but my mouth did this thing that it's only happened to me like 3 or 4 times in my life. And I don't know if it's an ingredient or it's just a reaction, or I'm dehydrated or something like that, but it swole up, or like it puckered up like Tom and Jerry when Jerry gives Tom the alum and his mouth like goes like a drawstring, like You know, my mouth did that. My tongue swole up, and I'm not allergic to anything that I know of. But I've had that happen to me a few times in my life, and that was one of those times, and it scared the hell out of me, because I think that was the first time, and I was like, whoa, you know, because I mean, I eat spicy food, I eat Mexican food all the time, like that. It's not the spiciness; it was a particular ingredient or something that just made my mouth do that. So yeah, that wasn't fun at all. Let's see. Stayed in Vegas the next night. I don't remember what we had. Probably a buffet. Could have been Del Taco. Could have been Del Taco. Ding. Yeah, right. You do. Every time you trigger me to say one of my my things. My fantasy sponsors. Pure Leaf Iced Tea, Del Taco. Although the crappy part about Del Taco is I can't have it because it doesn't exist anywhere near me. Pure Leaf, that's good. I can have that anytime. I'm sure, but I wouldn't. Hey, you're going to lose me that sponsorship now. Yes. Yeah. I remember they always talked about how their beans were real, you know. Yeah. They disappeared for a while. I remember, like, I really liked them when I was a kid. We had one not too far from our house, and that's where we always went because it was close. And the Taco Bell, the nearest Taco Bell, was actually harder to get to because of weird intersections. And so we always went to Del Taco, and I loved it. And then they changed their formula. Like, they changed the cheese, they changed their formula of food for a good, like, I don't know, 5 to 7 year stretch, like late 80s to the mid 90s. And then in the late 90s, they went back to their old ways and really came back. Hey man, I'm telling you, it's you can't knock it. It was good stuff. That was always like our night cruising fuel. That and Taco Bell. We'd always hit that up. Yeah. Okay. Man, I'm telling you, I'm hungry now. The place I discovered, it popped. There was a lot of smaller places like drive-through joints that popped up in the late '90s. A lot more than before that, and the place around the Sacramento area, it was Adalberto's, and that place just had the bomb. Their taquitos with guacamole. Oh man, see now I'm. Oh, this is not good. Like we're coming up to like a existential crisis here. Okay, speaking of, got an airport in front of us here. Amargosa Airport, elevation's 2,000 feet, just roughly. So we're gonna just descend down now, get down to pattern altitude. We're about 8 miles out, and again, private airport. So we're gonna just call it a right traffic, just to help our time. Otherwise, we'll have to fly to the other side of the field. So we'll do enter right downwind for 3-5. Death Valley Junction. dock door is with us. Welcome to the flight. It gets warm. It gets warm. It gets warmer in Death Valley because we're here. That's still up at 2,000 feet elevation, but it still gets pretty hot. 2,000 is not that high, but still, I mean, at the standard temperature, rate of 3 degrees per 1,000 feet, Death Valley is going to be at least 6 degrees warmer on just about any given day, if not more. All I know is the last time I was out here in Vegas, I told you guys I was there on 4th of July 2019, and it was hot. Try like 101. It was hot, and my family, so my one of my daughters and my wife flew because there was a dance competition going on and she was in it, so they flew ahead of us. We were visiting my folks out in Sacramento for the entire week prior, and so they flew, and my other kids and I drove from Sacramento and met them there. But we drove. That was an ambitious drive. We drove down through Yosemite, so we went over Sonora Pass and out down like through Mammoth Lakes, Bishop, went through Death Valley, and then in the backside of Vegas through Pahrump. So kind of the reverse of what we're doing right now. And we got to the dunes in Death Valley, so that's kind of halfway between Stovepipe Wells and Furnace Creek. We'll fly right over that actually in a few minutes. And my kids got out of the car, and of course in the car it was just a gorgeous, 73 degrees, and they had no idea what they were in for. And we opened the door, and they were still kind of in long sleeve shirt and shorts, whatever. And they just about died. We walked maybe 100 yards out into the dunes, and one of them turns around, goes back. She's like not having it. She's just like, nope. And my son was like, he thought it was cool. He was out there posing, flexing on the dunes a little bit, but then it's just a blast furnace. You guys down there know that it is just unbelievably hot. I don't know why I'm flying so slow. I'm sorry. I'm slowing down before I needed to. Got kind of in approach mode, telling a story, and I wasn't thinking about. Okay, all right. Airport's at our 12 o'clock, just on the other side of the buildings there. Looks like it's kind of on the side of the hill, but the runway's going south to north, so that's the way we're going to land today. Yeah, Wazinski says, Death Valley's called that for a reason. I don't dare venture far out during the summer. Your body knows how easy it would be to die out there with enough time. Absolutely. And there's plenty of stories to accompany that, of people getting in trouble out there, tourists, and just not knowing their limitations, not knowing their vehicles. That happens too. And going off-road and getting stuck and not having enough water. And the Death Valley Germans, you know the story. That's exactly what I was thinking. Yes. Oh, I don't know. The details, it's more details than I can give here, just thinking off the top of my head. But basically, they were in a rented minivan. They drove out, got kind of off-road. They were looking for a... I'm sorry. I don't have links enabled. I'm sorry, Wazinski. It is on... probably Wikipedia is what he's referring to. It is on there. Other hand org. Okay. But anyway, yeah, and then they got into a where they thought it was a road, and it was just a little wash, and it had some big rocks, and then the van got disabled basically by a rock, and they went for help, and split up and did all that stuff, and they all died. Yep, they all dehydrated and died. It's a pretty sad story. There's a lot of detail. Otherhand.org, yeah, that may be the one I read that was totally detailed. It was like it's like a long blog. They only had wine to drink. Yeah, that's great for the desert, right? So yeah, that's it's a pretty intense story actually. Hey, Doctor, beautiful livery, flying with the Union Jack. It looks like. All right, we're ready to rock. Let's do this, boys. Same way, flying to the north. We got a headwind. 1, 2, 3. You're going the right way. Just kind of follow me. I'm right here. Woo. Hey guys. All right. Yeah, it's a compelling story though. Definitely let's learn about life from that. Now I believe some of these, like that place right below us, I want to say, because we're on the California side now. We just crossed into California, and I believe that's a marijuana grow. I think it's a medicinal or a legal grow op. I think there's a couple of them out in Amargosa, if I remember correctly. Not that I know that from personal experience. I just remember driving by that. Not me, man. But those things. It was interesting though, because when we drove out there, sure. No, I have to stay. I have to stay really clean. I'd be lying if I said I've ever smoked pot. I never have. But it interested me when we were out there, drove by it, because I'd never seen. I had never seen that before. Yeah, I'd never seen it like advertised on the side of the road. Like here's marijuana cultivators. Like, whoa! I never inhaled. Now I never even. I gotta be careful now. I get called in for a random tomorrow. Now, the work I do, I have to stay way away from that stuff. I even went as far as to ask my boss one time. I wanted to go to a concert at Red Rocks. I had to ask my boss if I get random when I come back, am I gonna get in trouble from being around it? And she said, I've asked the same thing, because she likes bands that are kind of that crowd too, and I guess they told us that no, they can tell the difference. So if it's nearby or consumed. Yeah, that's all I know about that. I don't even want to talk about that anymore, because I'm like the most boring person when it comes to that stuff. I'll tell you another story here. Local time is 9:05. Interesting, moving right along. So, no, I'll tell you this other story, though. Like, this is how square I am, and at least especially back in the day. So when I went to flight school, they extremely strict on the drug and alcohol policies, right? You get caught with anything, you have to report it to the FAA and all this other stuff. That's what they told us, and there were stories of pilots who. There's actually a really tragic story. It's actually quite personal to a lot of people I know. I didn't know the guy myself, knew him tangentially through a couple other friends of mine who were flight instructors, and he got caught for a couple DUIs. And after his second one, he rented an aircraft and killed himself in it. It was really, really sad. Yeah, the rule was the FAA rule is 8 hours bottle of throttle, and our school rule was 12 hours bottle of throttle. So yes, we could, but we couldn't get in trouble with it though. If we got in trouble with it, it was a problem. And so I started the school when I was 20. And so I wasn't legal drinking age, and so I was pretty straight-laced at that. I was much more straight-laced at that time, relatively, and I wouldn't drink, and I took a lot of crap from my roommates, my suite mates, and stuff like that. But they understood too, because a lot of pilots were that way. So we just kind of didn't do the drinking thing, especially if it wasn't legal. And I remember on my 21st birthday, I was actually studying because I had a stage check coming up. So I'm in my dorm room studying on the night of my 21st birthday, and you know how you have an I was living in the dorms. You have an RA, and the RA is supposed to keep you from drinking alcohol. We had a dry campus, and anybody who's caught with alcohol gets sent to counseling. Because life's a rich, full oyster, and so the RA's the guy who's supposed to kind of narc you out and send you. So I'm sitting there studying, and he comes in with a mixed drink, and he goes, "Dude, I cannot see you do this. Please drink this." And that was like literally my first mixed drink. That was like my first drink. So that's how I celebrated my 21st. And things, the next few years I started getting into local bands and stuff like that, and it got a lot crazier. But yeah, that was like literally when I got there, I was so straight-laced. I'm a lightweight. Yep. I'm a cheap date. My wife likes it. Yeah. Yeah, no. But when it's the most is when I'm playing a gig. Then I have a tendency to throw them back, and I'm not even thinking about it, and that can get me into trouble. Especially when I don't have to drive afterwards, like when I'm staying on the premises. Oh, those are the best. Good evening, Sad Keldon. So yeah, so that was my that's my claim to fame. And so yeah, that was the life of a aspiring commercial pilot, and then I decided never to do anything with it. Mm-hmm. Nope. To each their own, I guess. It like I said, it helped that I came in already kind of like that. That was kind of just my upbringing and my life choices at that time. Safe to say I got out of that phase a little bit, but I still hold on to it quite a bit. I'm kind of I don't know, control freak maybe is the right word. So hell no. Nope. See right there, that's like no way, man. Nope. Yeah. Von Hoffnung. Yeah. I mean, for me, it's iced tea. I mean, that's my go-to. I rarely drink alcohol, and it's my go-to is iced tea. Used to drink a lot of soda, and I really had to stop myself from doing that. All right, who we got around us right now? Wazinski's on my tail. Got Dr. Duanian. Got a four ship. This is great. Sorry about the slow speeds, guys. This is this big old tires here are just slowing me down. Not a big coffee drinker though, Vaughn. I'm just not. Just can't. I don't mind the smell of it. Like, I grew up with it in my household. My mom basically has it hooked up to a central line, but you stop flying the Tundra because it's too slow. Yeah, I'm starting to feel you on that there, Rosinski. My mom mainlines coffee. She brews it. She's got the special little, the blender and stuff like that. And whenever my family stays out there, one of my daughters actually said, because my wife started drinking coffee recently, and that was like weird, because she never was a coffee drinker, but she just started. And my daughter, she came home one night just like a month ago, and she's like, "Oh, the house smells like Grandma's house. I love that smell." And I was like, "Oh, I didn't know you like that too." So I like the smell of it. Just can't drink it. It's like, I just cannot do it. I don't know about the jitters. I think I just don't like the taste. But then again, a lot of people don't like tea. I drink unsweetened tea, and Vaughn's saying Southern sweet tea, and when I switched to tea from pop, I was drinking sweet tea. And then I think it was like one day they were out of it or something. 20 Mule Team Road. Very, let's see here. Yep, 20 Mule Team Canyon back there. Let's see if we can get a better view of that. Back there. Good call. Well, they used to do mule teams down here, like they used to mine borax and stuff like that in this region, if I'm not mistaken. Also, I know there was some history of emigration, but they try to avoid it because the whole death thing. Down there is Zabriskie Point, so that little hill is a really good place to overlook the valley. You've got Funeral Peak and Telescope Peak over there is the really tall one. So Death Valley goes to 282 feet below sea level. Badwater is off to our 9 o'clock over here. And that's the lowest point in the continental United States, and lowest point in North America. And your name is Borax. Nice to. My name is Borax. Yeah. All right. Nice to meet you. I still haven't seen the new one. Anyway, but yeah, they have a borax museum. It's just up. Up here, you've got the hotel, is right there, and then you've got the campgrounds are all up in here. You can see some of the RV campgrounds there, but this is where my family used to camp, was out in here. I want to say Sunset Springs or something campground, and then you've got the Furnace Creek Ranch down here, golf course. Service station, airport is right over here. We're just going to enter a right base for 3-3 here, and then just up the highway here is there's a borax museum where some of that mule team stuff and old borax mining stuff's on display. All right, a little fast for flaps. Let's go full mixture, full prop, landing light, fuel pump, and landing checklist complete. First notch flaps. And Furnace Creek, 4 Charlie Foxtrot, flight of 4, base to final 3-3, stop and go Furnace Creek. I remember when we were camping out there, my old man, actually we walked out to the runway here. Walked right onto the runway. Because I wanted to walk on the runway. And he was cool like that. Ooh, little float. I'm still misjudging the Tundra tires. I'm still not used to this. Got to go catch up on the VOD later. Yeah, absolutely, man. Thank you for watching, Vaughn. Have a good night. All right, let's go. We'll do touch and go. Oof, if I can maintain center line here. I'm dancing. It was cool though because there was like at least 3 or 4 or 5 aircraft every day that came in, and you could hear them. We always camped out here in around Thanksgiving. We'd go here on Thanksgiving break, so we'd drive all the way from Northern California down here, camp up in those hills off to our 3 o'clock, and you could hear the airplane when it came in because it echoed all over the entire valley. And then the other thing I remember too is we were hiking down near what is it, Artists Canyon or Golden Canyon? It's just south. Pretty weird to watch the altitude. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I wasn't even watching the altitude. We were under sea level. That's right. But we were up in the kind of hiking in the canyons back down there by Badwater, and there were 3 aircraft. It was an F-16 and 2 F-4s doing air combat maneuvers over the southern part of the valley. I thought that was cool, and I sat there and watched them for at least a half an hour. Artist Pallet Road. That's right. Yep. Yeah, so that's some of my memories of Death Valley.
So that was the lowest. That was the lowest part.
Yeah, that back there, just south of Furnace Creek, that oasis, just south of the airport there, about 5 miles or so, is Badwater, which is 282 feet below sea level, and it's also the hottest place on Earth. I think it even beat out. Didn't it beat out like that temperature, that record that had been set in like Algeria or something like that? Yes. Okay, Wazinski. So I had just been through. So we went on that drive down to Vegas on that July 4th. Actually, it was July 1st when we drove down there. I was telling my kids about Star Wars Canyon. I said we're going to drive right by it because Father Crowley Overlook is on the way from, if you're driving from the backside of the Sierras to Vegas, it's on the way there. And okay, you went through a week 2 later after it happened. They're still cleaning it up. Yeah, So I was telling my kids, and I said this the other day on my stream. I said I don't think I've driven through the desert of Southern California and or Nevada and not been buzzed by an F-18. And I've been there, it's been quite a few times I've been through there, and I always get buzzed by, and it's always an F-18. And we were kind of getting close to that, and I was telling my kids about it. I said, oh yeah, you guys can look at this on YouTube. This is kind of where a lot of aviation photographers like line up their cameras, and they get a lot of videos and post them to YouTube or whatever. And but airplanes fly really low, so we'll be lucky if we see one. And as we got closer, we were about 2 miles from the overlook, and 2 F-18s came from behind us. I told my kids to watch out, and I couldn't see, and my son goes, I see 2 fighters. I see 2 fighters. I was like, "Oh, are you serious? You're not just being a jerk?" And because he'll pull my leg like that. And he's like, "No, seriously. They look like F-18s." So I pulled the car over to the side of the road, and sure enough, and we saw them drop down into Star Wars Canyon from the west. So they're coming from the west to the east, doing the Jedi transition, and we saw them disappear into the canyon and then reappear a minute later coming out of it. And it wasn't long after that one crashed there and injured some tourists. I think there were some French tourists or something, and yeah, they were out there videoing and taking pictures, and it's a really beautiful overlook. I mean, it's like right on the side of Highway, was it 193 or 190? And it's a nice paved parking lot, and it's perfect. And the photographers like to go set up just down the canyon a little bit, but they were standing right there at the overlook, and this thing missed a turn and hit the wall and splashed a bunch of fuel and burning parts up on the people watching. Yeah, not good. Not good. And then of course, my son caught that. He caught it on I don't know if it was on Twitter or Insta, and he said, Dad, did you see this? And I was like, yeah, I just saw that right around the same time. So yeah, that was only a couple months after we were there, but yeah, I did a video flying a TBM through that reverse direction like a month and a half ago. So if you check my my VOD feed, I believe I've got the clip of that. And it's difficult flying at the reverse direction because that drop-in wall at the west end of it is pretty steep, and I almost didn't make it out of there. I realized I needed power and needed to climb fast, and the TBM's got some get up, but a couple seconds later, and I wouldn't have made it out of that canyon. Because it looks like the canyons on Tatooine. And they actually call it the Jedi transition. So there is it's a route. It's a military training route. Nearest ICAO is Lima 09. That's Stovepipe Wells Airport. We are just on descent here. Just going to kind of fly through these hills. Stovepipe Wells, Death Valley, and yeah. So they call it the Jedi transition and everything because it looks so much like. I think the actual name of it is Rainbow Canyon, if I remember correctly. But all the military pilots and everybody call it Star Wars Canyon. So. It's the U.S. version of the Mach Loop, and the Mach Loop is I'm not going to even try to do the Welsh pronunciation of it. Anyway, it's in Wales, and a lot of NATO aircraft come through there really low, like below the camera, and coming through there fast, doing low-level training, and that's a really scenic place to get pictures of, like professional pictures of fighter aircraft doing their thing up close. Helicopters too, even cargo aircraft will come through there. Okay, so we got about 2 miles to Stovepipe Wells, runway 523, I believe. I just realized I don't have my map centering automatically. Probably should do that. Yeah, 523. It's just on the other side of Highway 190 here. And we're kind of on a right 45 for downwind for 5. So we will just kind of follow that around. We'll do a right traffic pattern. Even though this again should be a left traffic pattern, we're gonna cheat just for the sake of time. But normally I would be doing, if I was on VATSIM and had a little bit more time, I'd be doing this like actually fully procedurally. Making left traffic, doing the right thing. About a 3/4 of a mile downwind here. No, not quite downwind yet. There we go. Beautiful out here. Yep. It's a really beautiful place. It's just remarkable. Not 100% sure. All right, right base. Well, I mean, they are pretty light. Yeah, but you see, there's a lot of variation in them too. I mean, there's so many layers. It looks like there's sand on the road. Is that what that is? Is that simulating sand on the road? I thought I saw that in Morocco too. All right. No, the road that I just crossed over, Highway 190. All right, so you are. We're going to do a formation landing here apparently because we are pretty much in formation. Cut that a little close. Yeah, it's flatter than I like to be. A little crosswind, so I'm going to go ahead left wing down. We'll do a wheel landing, or a left wheel landing here. There we go. Left aileron. And we'll do touch and go, so let's get out of here. Good deal. Josh, you in yet? Oh, I see Chopper Josh. That must be you. So yeah, Star Wars Canyon's back over those mountains behind us, actually, Duanyan. It's just, that's the, you got the Panamint Valley behind those mountains, and then it's basically at the edge of the Panamint Valley, like 20 miles or so.
So that's something I need to look up.
Without a doubt. All right, now we're going to head up to Beatty. Beatty's like a nice long runway in the middle of nowhere. I mean, the town of Beatty is not very big. What's that? I don't know. I don't know if it's yeah. I know the military uses it too. I mean, but it's not it's not like a joint use airport or anything like that. It's just a. So those are the dunes down there that I was talking about earlier. So that little parking lot off to the right, we kind of walked out to the dunes from there, and that's where my kids noped. They're like, we've never been this hot. I said, and you're about to spend 4 or 5 days in Vegas. I said, have fun with that. It's not going to get much better than this. Yeah, it was 114 or so. It was 114 when we were in Death Valley. So that was, yeah, it was up there. But it's a dry heat. Oh, seriously though, it is. And if you guys aren't from the Midwest, like you got to understand the difference between. I will take 110 degrees. 114, 117 is pushing it. I'll take 110 though, over 80 and like a dew point of 70 degrees any day of the week. Any day of the week. The humidity in the south, forget it. Some of you guys are probably from out there. I don't mean to offend. Sorry, but not sorry. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. You guys say you couldn't do the heat, the dry heat. I say I can't do the humid. It would kill me. Yeah. It's the worst, and it just doesn't go away. It's like sits there for weeks, and you're just like, ugh. Don't even want to, like starting in July or so, July and August, I don't even want to go outside. Sometimes it's like, because I remember, growing up in California, when you found shade, it felt cooler. When you got out of a pool, it felt cooler. Not in the Midwest. So yeah, what I loved about Death Valley too, and my dad would always point this out. My dad and I both kind of shared this love of geology and geography, and it was all these alluvial fans coming out of the mountains, basically. So you have the harder rocks underneath, and then they all the erosion just kind of washes gently this alluvium down into the valley. And these are really extensive ones too. I mean, you can see the water pathways and everything from the very, very light rains that they get out here, and some snow too. They'll get snow on some of these peaks, especially Telescope Peak back there. That'll get snow, but so they get a little bit of runoff. But yeah, that alluvial, those alluvial fans are just amazing. If you look at that, in fact, I'm going to screenshot that because that is totally awesome. Yeah. I got to learn how to fly the drone better. I'm just on external view. I suck at flying the drone. I think 55 is enough. So I've got a XY thumb. I've got a little like a track axis basically on my my throttle. So it's it acts the same as a joystick or a mouse, and that's what I use to do my external views. A little sensitive, not too bad though. So yeah, this is the road. I remember this is the road we took the first time we went into Death Valley. And you come down from the mountain here, and you know it comes down from here, and you get out to about this point here, and it's just a straight shot downhill for. I mean, and it, you're dropping a good 3,000-4,000 feet to get down to the bottom there, and it is. You feel your ears pop and everything. It's a cool sight to see. Wazinski in the house out at my 12 o'clock. Got Duanian. I'm hitting some turbulence now. Hell's Gate. Thank you for awesome. See, this is what I love about flying with this group. They're just people are so knowledgeable. This is so awesome. Indeed. I should get some of you guys on the voice chat. Yeah. I tried. I tried to get Wazinski in there, and I tried to send an invite, but it wouldn't show him on my friends list. And I'll be honest with you, I'm pretty bad at Discord. Like, it's still pretty new to me. I don't want to make a ton of excuses here. I could probably just learn it, but the whole invite and friends list thing is just, I'm not doing the right thing or something. Because this is a private channel, I don't want just anybody to jump in the Discord. It'd get to be too much crosstalk. Kleinster with a follow. I appreciate it. Thank you. So, yep, you're with Charlie Foxtrot. Do Onions on the channel here. We got Wazinski, Dr. Chopper Josh. Is that Bush Pilot with us too? Who's that? Hey. What are you in, Josh? Because it looked like a Bonanza to me, but that might just be because we have different textures or something. Johnny Kaput, welcome to the stream. So we're flying out of Death Valley right now. That's back there, looking out at my 4 o'clock. So because your gear are down, I cannot imagine you're actually in a Bonanza. Oh, the Rutan Long Easy, yeah. Awesome. Yeah, I saw that in the store. How does it fly? And can you recover from a deep stall? Can you put the CG aft and not break the stall? That would be like the first thing I'd try. We tried that the other night in this plane. This plane doesn't stall very easily. It does not want to break. It just kind of flutters and descends. Unless you bank, and then it goes incipient spin real quick. Anyway, yeah, we're flying into Beatty, Nevada right now. Just kind of, so I'm doing for those of you who've joined recently, I'm doing a series basically. I fell in love with bush flying. Was doing the Nevada bush trip, and that's an area Eastern California, Western Nevada is an area I'm very familiar with. It's like home to me, and I was doing that and starting to stream, and I got raided by the Bush League Legends, and got talking to them and like, hey, what? Hello, Sebastian, and got talking to them and found out that this is what they do, and they're doing an around the world journey. And they had just finished one leg of the around the world journey. I think they had just flown into Courchevel, France, And they had started in North Carolina, flew up the coast, eastern coast of the United States and Canada, over to Greenland, down to Iceland, over to Scotland and England, and then into France. And so I joined up with them. I said, I got to see what this is about. And it has been just nothing but bush flying since then. Like, forget all the, I play prepared as well. Forget the PMDG 737, the PC-12 that I love. All the heavy iron in this. This is all about VFR flying kind of low and slow and just enjoying conversation and getting into airports that normally you wouldn't think about. So I started flying this journey, kind of did my own little thing here on off nights from Bush League, and started out in Sacramento and headed up to the foothills and just trying to find as many small airports I could get into and get mess around with, and it just went from there. It was like, from there we went to up to Mount Lassen, and then over to the Coast Range, and then down to the desert. Ended up getting all the way down to the Mexico border, and then Las Vegas, and now we're here flying into Beatty, Nevada. And then this flight is going to take us over into the Nevada test site. See some sites over there, and Area 51, Groom Lake, and then eventually we'll finish the day at Alamo, just outside of the Groom Lake area, and see some of that. We're going to visit some of those points in there, so it'll be a little bit of a serpentine route. Serpentine. Just to see the sights of Southern Nevada here today. Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. And then we're going to continue after this into Utah. And if you're not familiar with Bush League Legends, go over to the website bushleaguelegends.com and grab some of the freeware mods to the X Cub. Carbon Prop is one of our leaders, one of our founders, and he is an aircraft designer, is also a commercial pilot, although he's a professional pilot, as where I have the license and all that other stuff, but I did not do it for a living. He did. And he has modded out the X Cub. We have this version here. This is the Tundra, so it's got the big Tundra tires on it. This is all freeware, mind you. And then this one's got the cargo pod on it too. So this is called the Tundra Cargo. You've got the regular X Cub with the cargo pod, and then he's got the X Cub Alpine with skis on it. No joke, skis. And we're gonna take that up to Utah, strap the skis on, and maybe land on some mountain peaks out there, and get snowy. And then he's got a and it's not available on the website yet, but he's got it in beta. We've got a float version coming up, amphibious float too. So yeah, this is totally exciting. He does a great job with all these mods. They're very functional. We've got almost 100 liveries that you can get on the website also, and it's all free. And then if you feel like joining us on our version of the journey, head out to it's on the website. It's under the journey, and we are currently in the Canary Islands, and we do the journey pretty much every Monday and Thursday, and not tomorrow though. So tomorrow we are off. So just take note of that. But next Monday we'll be back in the Canary Islands and heading on southward through the rest of Africa. We'll get all the way down to Cape Town, head back north, head back through the Middle East into Europe. I am like totally hot and fast here. Hold on, I gotta do this little forward slip. Never forward slip with the Tundra tires. That's interesting. Okay, sorry, not paying attention. I gotta actually land the aircraft here. Yep. That was not a good landing. I was like totally talking and trying to recover here. So anyway, yeah, we're gonna fly all the way down back through Europe, through Germany and parts of Eastern Europe, Northern Europe, and then over through basically Asia to Oceania, back up Japan, Eastern Russia, and then into the United States again, down through the Rockies, down to South America, all the way down to what cape is that down there? Suncheon, Cape of Good Hope? Wait a minute. I can't think of it right now. anyway, Argentina basically, and head back up to where we started in North Carolina. And I'm thinking the whole thing's going to take the whole thing's going to take a couple years. I mean, like there's these we fly in the X Cubs, so it's not very fast. Okay, so we are. What's up, distributor? How are you doing tonight? So, Fran Star Ranch is an old. I'm pretty sure it's an old brothel. Oh, the other thing up here is there's a ghost town. Let's see where we are in relation to the airport. Just over in the hills over there is a ghost town called Rhyolite, and it's very well preserved. It's just over to our left over there. It's kind of tucked in those hills. It's an old mining town, and that's worth a trip if you're ever in the Death Valley, Las Vegas area. Really well preserved ghost town called Rhyolite. And then there's Beatty coming over the hill here. And Fran Star Ranch is the old name of the airport. It's no longer there, so the simulator just calls it Beatty Airport. Everything burns in the desert. El Mega coming in. El Mega knows what I'm talking about with Rhyolite. I'm pretty sure he has been there. So we're gonna just come in straight in runway 3 here. Kind of a modified base we're on here, almost a 45. And just do a touch and go at Fran Star. Football field looks nice. Not if you can help it. Yeah, comes in with the 747 super tanker. Yeah. Do they have that livery out there? That would not surprise me at all if they did. So that thing's based actually really close to my hometown. In the summers, they fly that out of McClellan, the old Air Force base. And oh, we got a little ways to go. I'm sorry. I'm trying to land on the river here. My two maps are not coinciding. I've got this map is way too zoomed out. I think I'm a lot closer to the airport than I am. I am. I'm dividing my attention between like 9 things here, and the screen on the left is the one I'm supposed to be looking at. Any chance I'll be flying a Tiger Moth? I don't think they have that in this game, but I think they do have a Blériot now. There's the airport. BTTV and Franker phases for the juice. I thought I had Franker phase on at one point. All right. Still misjudging my landing height in the tundra. The other day I just smacked it on because I was like expecting to flare and do a nice 3-point. And I in the small tire, I call it small tire, X Cub, and nope, it was a nice big old bounce. Smack that sucker hard. All right, we are heading now over into the Nevada National Security Area, formerly known as the Nevada Test Site. I have been too. I just wanted to do a little bush flying, and because there are a couple airports out here actually, but and if you go farther north too, and I don't have it planned for today just because of time constraints. But who's in the jumbo? I don't see it. Chopper Josh isn't. Do I need it? Is it? Oh, yeah. You're right. Good call. Here it comes. Oh, check this out. Get a screenshot of this. Oh, I got to get the camera set. Here he comes. I hear turbines. 4 of them. Take that, TCAS. Oh, it's not showing up. You just look like a generic. You look like a generic 4-engine bird. It's pretty, but it ain't a 747. Because I don't have your livery. Yeah, mine's blue. That's okay. So like I said, not couldn't do this with VATSIM on, so I'm not flying with VATSIM today, because they don't let you fly into special use airspace. They're pretty strict about that. You have to be part of they call it a special operations user or airline or whatever, group. Yeah, you have to get like extra training and extra. There's a lot of extra stuff hoops you have to jump through to be able to fly into special use airspace on VATSIM. You can do intercepts and stuff like that too if you're a fighter group, but like I said, you have to have additional training and stuff. So, oops, didn't mean to completely reset my camera there. I have the default. That's all I've got, Josh. Sorry. I'll have to pick up some other stuff. So if you want to fly with me again and get some good screenshots of your livery, let me know what you're using. Well, it didn't even look like a 747. I mean, it looks like a hybrid between an Aleutian and a A380 and a 747. Anyway, going back to what I was saying here. So right now we're about to cross into some of the most heavily restricted airspace in the country, and for good reason, because it houses all sorts of different things. I mean, you've got restricted 4808 North encompasses the Nevada test site, and then you've got also it encompasses Area 51. So Groom Lake Air Force Base. You've got restricted 4808 South, or S, which is Nellis Gunnery Range. You've got R4807 Alpha, which is Tonopah's Test Range, which is north. So you've got all sorts of stuff out here. Targets that get blown up. You've got electronic telemetry ranges. They do red flag out here, green flag also. So it's Nellis Air Force Base's playground, but that all surrounds the Nevada test site and Area 51. So it's big. I'm sure it's out there. It's probably easily looked up. But if I'm looking at my map right now and just doing a rough estimate, it looks like it's about the Nevada test site part of 4808 North is about 20 miles wide by, I'd say, 45 miles long, and then that part also goes up to Groom Lake, and it's a good 15-mile buffer all the way around Groom Lake. Aliens, I don't know. I think it's more exotic aircraft than anything. But right now we'd be in the airspace. Oh, Chopper Josh trying to do a loop or a hammerhead stall or something, maybe an Immelman. He's getting it there. He's past vertical. He is, he's going to do it. Now, will he recover in his realism on? That's the question. Terrain, pull up. Don't sink. Pull up. Whoop, 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 pull up. All right, there you go. So, So yeah. Anyway, this mountain right in front of us here is Yucca Mountain, which is notorious for being the site of the nuclear waste repository, or at least proposed site of the nuclear waste repository. So I always thought it was really cool looking because you can see the rim rock, and it's a long ridge and stuff like that. And I always thought pictures of that, like when I was a kid and reading books about it, because I was always interested in this kind of stuff. It it always looked interesting to me. Like, it just kind of looks spooky, black and white pictures and stuff like that. It's just like, yeah, that's where they keep all the weird nuclear stuff, and I always thought that was cool. And I've got waypoint 2 is right over the entrance to it. So, how long does the radiation last? Longer than you and me, man. It's got half-lives that are measured in the tens of thousands of years. And of course, that's only some of it. It's all various elements that are decaying at different rates. But there's some really nasty stuff. In fact, they talk about, there's a name for it, and I cannot remember. It's something glyph. But they basically are trying to design the repository to have embedded petroglyphs of basically that warn future beings away from it. And they're trying to figure out what would warn a future being and what won't erode away, once the topsoil is eroded away over tens of thousands of years. So that's part of the thinking with all this stuff is how to warn future inhabitants, whether it's humans or another evolved. I know tens of thousands of years is not, not a long time in evolution on an evolutionary scale, but like a plastic Starbucks straw. Oh, with the jokes. I love it. But anyway, the entrance is right below dock door right there. So you see that tunnel? And there's multiple areas and all sorts of different things around here, but that's the most well-known thing in this area of the Nevada National Security Area, or Nevada Test Site, as it were. So, yep. Pretty slick. That is Yucca Mountain. Yucca Mountain. Oh, the Nevada Test Site, or the Nevada National Security Area? Yeah. So this area in front of us here is Jackass Flats. They did a lot of testing out here, various types of testing. Not a lot of nuclear blasts in this area, but a lot of different type of radiation experiments and non-nuclear experiments and things like that. So we'll fly to waypoint 3 here, fly direct. And I'll point out some of the things out here. Okay, there's Josh with the. Now I see a 747. I think. At least it looks like it now. So yeah, lots of different experiments out here. The most notable one, and this is why I created Waypoint 4, was the Bren Tower, and I want to see. I doubt it's in the game. They don't model towers very well. Period. Even less so one that's no longer there. But the Bren Tower stood for Bear Reactor Experiment Nuclear, and basically what they did is they built a town under it that was full of houses that were built like the houses in Hiroshima. And the tower was about 1,500 feet tall, which is the height of the bomb. and it when it exploded over Hiroshima, and they took basically a bare reactor, so an unshielded nuclear reactor, hoisted it up this tower, and let it run to see the effect of radiation on those types of houses. That's waypoint 4. So it used to be a super tall tower. You would be able to see it right now if it was still there in the game, and I highly doubt they dismantled it in, I want to say, 2012 or so. They dismantled it, and it's no longer extant. Waypoint 3 is just there's a whole bunch of various landmarks out here, a lot of substations, but they did a lot of like critical reactor experiments and things like that out here. The right in front of us, though, that set of buildings is they did like TNT experiments, like so some of the largest non-nuclear blasts. It's kind of a multi-purpose area. Again, not a lot of nuclear tests like explosions out here. That's more over to our left in Yucca Flat, and we'll get out there in a little bit. Well, this whole area is restricted. You can't get in here without permission. They do tours. I have not been on one yet. I really want to. There's other things out here they do is they do studies on nuclear waste management and like containment of like nuclear spills and accidents and things like that. They do some device assembly and stuff like that out here too. So that's like you can see some helipads down there. So that's still a fairly used area. But they do device assembly too. So some of the areas that are super heavily you can see like there'll be like double walls and stuff like that, ravines, double fences. Those areas are like device assembly areas where they literally would assemble the nukes and things like that before and all the devices before they took them over and blew them up. And stuff like that's scattered all over the place. They do training for like the nuclear emergency response team. So they do like actual simulations of how to clean up if something accidentally happened. So the Bren Tower, its final spot was in that little area in front of us there with the kind of the radial, almost looks like runways coming out. It was right in the middle of that, and that's where the Bren Tower was. Before they took it down, and I just wanted to fly over it and see if it had a shadow in the game, and it doesn't look like it does. Yeah, there's a circle where it used to be, but I think that's all just remnants of the facilities that were there. So, yep, no longer there. All right, so now we're going to pop over into Desert Rock Airport, which is Mercury, Nevada, and that is kind of it's an old where they basically used to house the soldiers that participated in some of the nuclear tests. Ooh. Guinea pigs? Oh yeah, that reminds me. They have like agricultural stuff out here too, like pig farms and like other farms. Sorry if this is like I don't want to offend people. I mean, this was all done years ago, and you know, regardless of your views on all that stuff, you know, it trigger warning. Animals were harmed, soldiers, humans were harmed. But yeah, there was some of that stuff out here too. To test the effect of nuclear weapons on radioactive bacon, Josh says. They tested that stuff, and it was, you know, there was scientific purpose to it, without a doubt. You know, a lot of it was, you know, it was the arms race with the Soviets, and gosh, you could just land there, couldn't you? a lot of it is the arms race with the Soviets, and we wanted to see what would a post-nuclear war United States look like. How productive could we be? What would it do to our economy, our agriculture, our cities, our houses, all this other stuff? And they tested a lot of that, and of course they tested the effects on military equipment, because how is our warfighting capability in a post-nuclear environment? And then, of course, the weapons effects themselves, just physics. What if we do this to the design of a nuclear bomb? What would happen? And for anybody from the NSA or the FBI who's listening, I have no firsthand knowledge of this. I have no security clearance, so this is just my own personal studies and fascination and interest in all this stuff of decades. So I'm sure there's people on here listening that know more about it than I do, and please chime in if you do. I'm just telling you what I know and what I'm interested in. So, beer is still good after radiation. Did not know that. Yeah, there's the disclaimer, right? Yeah. No, I honestly do. I know what I know. I'm a simple civilian. Right. Yeah. Pretty bored too, I'm sure. Nope, this guy's just a nerd. No, and that's funny because, Wikipedia obviously expanded it, but I remember back, it was like Usenet days where I downloaded a list of all like a big old spreadsheet of all the nuclear tests that were ever done. And I'm sure I have that printout somewhere. My dad was not happy with me because that's thousands of tests and lots of pieces of paper, lots of ink, lots of printer ink. What are you printing? All the nuclear tests. Oh, dude, look at that. Drops in the 47-8I. Agent Charlie Fox 00. I like that. It's got a nice ring to it. Secret agent man. Chopper Josh, you had full flaps there. Were you riding it right at the stall? Were you getting getting any warnings there? Config warnings? Do you have your gear down? What? Tell me what the cockpit was like in that little sequence there. And then so Desert Rock, that's where they housed. You can see the remnants of the old the barracks that were built out there in the bivouac area and everything, and that's also where they kept the reporters and the protesters as well. Actually, I think the protesters were kept across the highway, but of course, during the nuclear tests, there were a lot of protests and a lot of media and all this other stuff, especially early in the nuke test, because early in the nuke test they did them above ground, and you used to be in Vegas and see mushroom clouds appear over the hill. How many above ground tests did they do? It's just over 100, I want to say. Before they realized, oh yeah, this isn't good for everybody's thyroids in the entire upper Midwest. I guess not. Dude, did you just do a loop? Did you get in his wash? Did you get some caution wake turbulence? No. Oh yeah. Sad Kelvin asks, how far away were they from Vegas? About 60 miles or so. Close enough. God, I thought I switched tanks. Why do I still have a fuel imbalance? Yeah, I don't have much of my... Yeah, I did switch tanks, so that's lasting a long time. Oh, that's a good way to kill your engine. This one's going to be a left pattern for runway 32. So we're on the right side actually, because we're going to make a right turn to get in the downwind, and then we'll make a left turn to get on base and a left turn to get on final. See where Chopper Josh is landing? That's the way we're going to go. Looks like Wazinski is way ahead of us. How do I show patterns in Little Nav Map? Right-click over the airport. Oops. Of course, the simulator still detects that I'm in it. Right-click and then hit Add Traffic Pattern. I did that for you guys.
Alright, Josh, I'm coming at you. I want to
I recorded that a couple years ago, just having fun in my studio. Pulled this. Yeah, it was actually. I pulled my alto sax out. Normally if I play sax, I'm playing tenor, and that song's kind of it's pretty high, and it's got some. So it was better range for an alto, and I pulled out that solo at the end of it. On my sax. Yeah, that might be 2 computers ago, though. I'd have to go find that one. Yeah. That's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea. Maybe stretch here. This is a good place for it because nice long runway. My track IR is a little jumpy tonight. Doctor, I'm right behind you, about a quarter of a mile. And for Charlie Foxtrot, flight of 6, short final, runway 2, Desert Rock. Oh, heck of a crosswind. Actually, way too much crosswind here. It's almost a tailwind. Have to do a wing down again. No problem. It's going to weather vane. See, it wants to lift my upwind wing, so I got to hold left aileron, and then it wants to spin the aircraft around into it because it's a tail dragger. So it really wants to go around there. FBJ DHG. It's almost FBI. That's here in the Nevada National Security Area. No, I'm just kidding. So, yeah, thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. We're here at Desert Rock Airport in South Central Nevada, and we're here with a bunch of, we got everybody here tonight. Chopper Josh, Doctor, Wazinski, Duanian. Duanian's voice is on stream as well. Taking a short bio break. I'm also going to take a short bio break, about 3 minutes here. Go get some water, stretch a little bit, and then we'll resume. We'll head up towards Yucca Flat after this and look at the, Frenchman Flat, Yucca Flat, and look at all the craters from all the nuke tests. So this will be fun. That was a long taxi. Maybe I should have landed like halfway down. This is an X-Cub. It can land on basically a postage stamp. Easy for me to say. Anyway, all those short buildings there are the remnants of the barracks from the old camp, where they positioned the light infantry battalions that went and did maneuvers during the nuke tests, or shortly after the nuke tests. Some unbelievable stuff, actually. All right. And I'll put the parking brakes on, and I'll take that short bio here, so I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Oh, I was just taxiing in and filling time. I'm going to take that short bio now, so I'll be right back. Oh man. What type of aircraft would escort you if you were to enter Area 51? My guess, that is a good question. Not F-18s, not F-18s likely, because the those are Navy, and this airspace is all administratively owned by the Air Force. Missiles, yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what kind of air surface-to-air stuff they've got, but I imagine there's some weather balloon. Well, yeah. Well, they'll intercept you. They'll intercept you, but if you don't deviate, if you keep on going, they'll bring you down. No doubt about it. The most likely, I would say, F-16s probably most likely. I'm not sure what they've got on alert out at Nellis, if they've got anything on alert out at Nellis, but I know that they actually have some F-16s at Area 51 as well, and I'm not sure if those are chase aircraft or they're doing experiments or what, but there's a couple of them out there that had some white missiles on the rails in some satellite pictures. So I'm assuming F-16s would probably be the most primary. F-15s, F-22s. I'm not sure about F-35s and what those have for, like, again, alert status or anything like that. But yeah, they would know you're coming. Definitely. There's lots of electronics going on out here, monitoring, and they don't want you in the area. It's a big time no-go area. It's probably one of the biggest. There's a lot of restricted airspace that you just get in trouble for, that the FAA would call you on the carpet and everything. But this is the one that would get you shot down. The only other one, the only one that would get you shot down quicker is Washington D.C. And that's because it's smaller and they're on more of a hair trigger there, because it's closer to things, whereas this is so far away that they kind of have time to watch you get close. So, yep, they don't want you out there. But that's just the Nevada test site. That's just where they tested the nukes. Like the whole Nellis airspace here. Let me zoom out and let me put on the I'll show you. I'll give you guys an update of where we are and everything, like real quick here, and then we got to get back to it. But the whole airspace. So we are right here at the corner of it, right? Las Vegas is down there. So the yellow area is the area that's lit at night. So that's basically the size of Las Vegas. Okay. So you can imagine that restricted 4808 North is about 3 to 4 times the size of Las Vegas City. Okay. That's just the Nevada test site. This part over here is Groom Lake. That's going to be another, couple times the size of Vegas. But this area over here, the west and east parts, is where they do a lot of air-to-ground targets. So this is where the bombers will come in and fighters will come in and attack aircraft, and they'll drop a lot of ordnance down there. This area, again, they'll do that same thing. There's a lot of electronic ranges out here. So like Talitha Peak has an electronics range where they do a lot of simulated electronic warfare. Tonopah test range up there, they do a lot of test drops. Like they test like the new nuclear, was the B-81 bomb, and they develop the casing and everything for it, and they do inert tests of that to see it out of like a B-2 or whatever, and there's some videos of that out there at Tonopah. But this whole area, including the MOAs, which is the red area, so MOAs you can actually fly through. You just have to be on guard, and you can't, you have to watch out for fighters and stuff, and you can't fly on instruments through here, so it's all visual. But my map keeps on resetting. I really should turn it off, but I want to get going. That whole area, this whole area, except for this carve out here, is open for the air-to-air stuff. So when you have fighters doing air combat, refueling, dissimilar air combat, they're doing that all out in this whole airspace out here. And even some of the transitions in between You get out here and back into Death Valley, and this is all China Lakes Playground, Edwards Air Force Base down here. I mean, the whole area is just rich with military. Up north, you've got Fallon in their complex. So the Fallon Naval Air Station, they have bomb ranges, they have air-to-air ranges. F-18s play out here all the time, and everything else too. So you see some really exotic stuff. What I want to see is you got buzzed by a bunch of fighters in an MOA. It was terrifying. I believe it. Yeah. That stuff. You got to be on a swivel when you're in those. So let's go. Yeah, I love watching the fighters at Fallon too. My son and I did that one day. We were watching a little bit on our way out of there on a different trip. But yeah, they fly low, and they do a lot of these low altitude military training routes. They're marked all over the map. So let me show you that real quick, because that might be interesting to some of you. If you ever want to know where the fighters are going to fly, you pick up a sectional chart and you see these gray lines on there, and those are the military training routes. So you'll see low flying aircraft over all of those, and those are generally going between these larger areas, so they're not necessarily in those larger areas. Sometimes they are, sometimes they aren't, but outside of those areas, this is where they're doing and if you see a 4-digit number versus a 3-digit number, that means it's low altitude. So visual route 1214, that's really low. They're doing some low level flying on there. So yeah. And there's a website, I believe, you can go look at, and it'll show you whether those are hot or not, whether those are active. Hot or not, yeah, right. All right, let's go north. Kind of a bad crosswind takeoff there. The wind is really going there. It's almost a tailwind, kind of a quartering tailwind. Not the best choice there. But yeah, there's the old that's the old barracks area there for Camp Desert Rock. I'm going to go back to the satellite view here so you can see some of these things. So if you look on my map here, you can see the old, the area that they used to house the soldiers. Whoa, is he climbing up my tail? Oh, there he is. Nice. Awesome. So this is the town of Mercury. This is where a lot of their kind of just the whole base camp is for the Nevada test site. A lot of the administration, control, security, itinerant housing and things like that. In fact, I think that's the front gate right there. One of my bucket list things is to get a tour of this place. So you have to sign up like a year and a half in advance, because all the boomers have it all staked out and everything like that. I've tried a couple times the last few times I've gone to Vegas, and it's like, oh yeah, you can do it a couple years from now. It's like, oh come on. So I really do want to get out there though and see this. Yeah, so let's plan it. Let's plan it. One of these times we're gonna go out there. All right, so these little buildings on the hill to the left, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, and again, some of this stuff is just old knowledge of mine that's rattling around in my aging head. There is okay, so your wife's Canadian. There's a bit more paperwork. Yeah, you have exactly. You have to go through a background check and stuff like that too. And you're right. They don't like foreign nationals and stuff doing that. They get a little crazy about that. Yep. So that building right there, though, I believe that's the old control point. They called it CP1, and that is where they would control the detonation of the atmospheric tests. So, and the atmospheric tests are mostly done on this lake in front of us here, this dry lake. So this is Frenchman Flat, and so when you go and watch on YouTube videos of U.S. nuclear tests, and they're above ground tests, this is mostly where they are, unless they're the ones out in the Marshall Islands. they of course they did a lot of tests out there too. Much bigger bombs that they tested out in the Marshall Islands. Those were, the ones out there were in the megaton range, most above ground. These out here were still big boomers, but they weren't quite as big. They weren't hydrogen bombs. Yeah, in fact, Wazinski, you bring up a good point. People used to go up to Mount Charleston to watch these tests. The only problem is the haze. You know how it gets out there. In the desert, there's usually some wind, and it's hot, and there's some inversion layers and stuff like that. So the view from Mount Charleston, like right now, probably a little unrealistic. But people used to go up there and watch the goings-on with high-powered scopes and stuff like that. So all these markings on this lake bed are the remains of the old atmospheric tests. So they built full-on cities out here. They tested everything out here, so they wanted to see what it would do, obviously, to an American city, or even enemy city. But so they built things like railroad trestles, parking garages, bank vaults. In fact, there's still a bank vault out there. I think it's a Mosler. Well, right, and there's a refrigerator out there somewhere that Indiana Jones climbed into, but that's that whole premise of that, But anyway, yeah, they blew the heck out of this place, and then they did a bunch of testing with infantry, and they would dig them into trenches and things like that, and detonate the bomb, let the shockwave go by, and then they maneuver them close to ground zero. Yeah, crazy. Yeah, well, yeah. Anyway, but so they built houses. They painted them in different colors to see what the albedo of paint would do to, like, if you painted your house white or gray versus leaving it wood or painting it dark, what would it do in a nuclear blast? Well, it's kind of obvious. A house that's painted light colors is going to be more resistant to catching fire from a nearby nuclear blast, whereas an unpainted house, bare wood is exposed to the thermal radiation and it catches on fire even tens of miles away. They also did some experiments with houses that had like lawns that were unkempt and junk out in their yards and stuff like that, versus a house that was all trimmed and cleaned up. And which house do you think caught on fire? Now, of course, some of that was just good old-fashioned. Well, a good chunk of it was good old-fashioned American propaganda, but it's. There's something to be said about the physics of that. So I'm just going to do a little loop around this just to see what we can see. Yeah. So that's the old the remnants of a lot. You can see where the ground zero was a lot of the time. Not all of them were set off in the same place, obviously. But they would set them off from different devices too. So they would set them off. They'd build towers and cook it off on the top of a tower. They would send them up on balloons, cook them off there. Some of them were airdropped. Some of them there was one of them out there that's a rocket. They fired an air-to-air missile that had a nuclear warhead on it. So it was kind of an unguided missile. If you look it up, the AIR-4 Genie, fired by like a P-80 shooting star, and basically that was the job for that. It was an interceptor, went up, and this is before ICBMs. Soviet bombers are coming over Canada, and these things would go up and fire a nuclear rocket right in the middle of the formation of bombers and try to knock them out. And they did one of those tests right above a bunch of Air Force officers and troops, and there's a video of it. So it was an open air test. They shot it off, I want to say, like 50,000 feet or something like that. Small, in the kiloton range. It wasn't a huge nuke, obviously. They would have been incinerated. But they were out in the open, just in their normal, normal dress clothes. So anyway, that's Frenchman Lake, Flat. Moving on. So, like I said, about 100 or so above ground tests in that area. Some craters out west of the lake bed, Wazinski says. Yeah, they did some mixed testing too. Some surface shots. I don't think they did a lot of underground in this area, but then they moved everything north of here, so that's where we're going next. And I want to say that's a waste containment facility right there. I think.
So all the radiation just
Well, they have it in casks. And they clean it up. They clean up the soil. They remediate it. They put it in casks. Obviously, they're not going to get all of it. But the really heavy stuff. Because all it is, all radiation really is parts of the bomb casing that have blown apart. That's your fallout. Things are irradiated by the initial blast, and some things are neutron activated. So if you have certain types of metal, they'll absorb the neutrons of a nearby blast and become radioactive themselves. But when we're talking like the fallout from a nuclear bomb is basically just bits of the bomb casing, the fizzle device of the bomb itself. Yep. And the ones who got it the worst were from about here to the fallout. Were from about here to St. George, Utah. St. George, Utah really got smacked hard by fallout. And there's maps out there that show the average like cesium levels and iodine levels, because those are the longer lasting isotopes that really get into the human body. They're absorbed by the human body really easily. And so you can look up that stuff and see where it was. But if you look in Nebraska and the Dakotas and Iowa and Minnesota, there's a lot of it that made its way up there. Yep. For war, for propaganda, for science, for all those things, yeah, it's there's a lot of different people out here doing a lot of different things. It wasn't all just there was, in fact, there was a whole program and we'll see that later. We'll talk about that later. There's a whole program, Project Plowshare, that was basically development of nuclear weapons for peaceful purposes, if you can imagine that. So there's one of those areas you can see that's kind of got the double fence, so it's still fairly active. I'm not sure what it is. A lot of this stuff is mapped. You can find various sources on what each of these various things are out here. I'm not in a point in my life where I've been looking this up a lot lately, so some of it's kind of gone to the memory bank, and I'm just giving you a little bit more of a broad overview. I'm going to go ahead and land here at Yucca Airstrip. Now, this used to be just a dirt runway on the lake bed, and now they've actually have an improved airstrip out here, so they obviously are flying things in and out. Yeah. Oh, yeah, you look at it in real life, and there are aliens. I love it. Right. Josh has got the right idea here. Let's see how he does. You're on camera, Josh. Mixture rich, prop full, landing light on, fuel pump on, landing checklist complete. And I'm flying more casually than I normally do tonight. I'm flying, I don't know, fly casual. I like to communicate. I like to talk to VATSIM and do calls in the blind and stuff like that, but it's kind of pointless when you're in the Nevada test site, because what kind of calls do you make? This doesn't even have a runway. Like, this is not a simulated runway. This is like the aerial photograph. You can see the grass popping up from the autogen. Oh, forgot Tundra. Dang it. Once again, landed hard because I keep on forgetting I got the big tires on there. Okay. This is my first full day driving the Tundra, so you got to cut me some slack here. All right, let's go. Touch and go. Yeah, it thinks it's a grass runway. Look at that. So it's auto-genning the grass. That's hilarious. Nope, it's asphalt in real life. All right, so take a heading of about 344 or 340 even. Seems like a good airport for a mod. Yeah, Doc Dorr, and he's gonna. There's a lot of I told you so he should and could be doing right now because Chopper Josh is just driving that sucker over the desert. Look at that. What's your indicator right now? Anyway, apparently this has been modded. There are sceneries out here, and I probably could have downloaded them. Yeah, totally F. Totally. Although I think it's just Area 51. I don't think it's the Nevada test site. I think it's just Area 51. And Area 51 gets its name because all of these areas in here it's partitioned into multiple different areas. So, area right now I think we're going to like Area 3, and it was just divvied up. And the one that got the Groom Lake Air Base from the CIA in the 50s was Area 51. And we'll talk about that as we get closer. So I want to see here, so we should be getting into, as we go north here, we should be getting in all to the subsidence craters left over from the underground tests out here on Yucca Flat. And they're definitely there. Not saying it's aliens, but it's aliens. Who said that? Was that the Situation? That famous meme? Yep, hundreds of them. Is this in VR? Not on my stream. I am not flying in VR right now. I have my track IR on, so when I move my head, I am looking around, but I am not in VR. Now, so one of these out here. Oh yeah, no, sorry. Yeah, we're gonna land in Sedan, but that I've got Sedan programmed for later, so you can do it now. No problem. But we're gonna head up towards Pahut Mesa and then curl back around to Sedan. So Sedan is actually waypoint 11. So if you guys don't mind, if you guys are all good with continuing on this flight right now, this is gonna go a little bit longer than the 3 hours I was planning. Oh, once again, my wife's gonna look at me like, "Are you crazy?" But anyway, yeah, she's way in bed. So what they would do, how they would do these underground tests is they basically drill down, several hundred to several thousand feet, and place the device down at the bottom of the bore, and then they would have all the wires coming out of the device, and it would go up into an emplacement tower on the top, and the emplacement tower had winches and cable runs and everything else. And it would also often include there were experimentation devices in there too. So it wasn't just about setting a nuke off underground. They would test the effects on various components, whether those are components of aircraft, satellites, other weapons, other nuclear weapons. Would a nearby nuke knock out this warhead's electronics so it wouldn't detonate? Things like that. And so they had them in these towers that were a couple hundred feet tall over the center of these ground zeros, basically, these hypocenters. And there would be all these trucks kind of lined up. So if you look at my mouse, you would have like the tower in the middle, and then you'd have all these trucks kind of lined in a radius around the edge of it where they thought that the subsidence would go to. And they had wires going to all of them, trucks and trailers and everything else. And they basically would do the shot and then it would be exposed directly to some of these experimental packages, and then they would have valves that would close off really quickly, so they would allow the X-rays and the electromagnetic pulse from the detonation to hit the experiment package, and then they would close it off and seal it before the blast wave would hit it, or the thermal pulse, because they're moving at different speeds. So that's how fast they had to operate. And then they'd winch them the heck out of there quickly before the whole thing collapsed. And some of them would collapse to an extent right away, and some of them would take days, weeks, months to fully collapse. And then you have some of them that vented, and that was a bad deal. So if y'all want to look at a really spooky picture, check out the Bainbury test. That was done in 1970 or something, 74. Anyway, it was an underground test out in the Yucca Flat, kind of in the upper, out in that corner out there, and basically they. It did not seal because there's all sorts of different rock under there, and the shaft unsealed itself, and so when this thing detonates underground, it vaporizes all that rock and creates a cavity, and then now it's a void, and now the stuff above it falls in. Right, that's what's happening. The Bainbury test, it actually leaked steam, radioactive steam, right after the test, and formed kind of a cloud of radioactive dust and debris that ended up floating off into Utah. So, your cousin 56! Exclamation. Say it with a bullet. I love it. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. I am Charlie Foxtrot. We're here checking out the Nevada test site today. And so one of these tests famously was left out, and I cannot remember where it is exactly right now. I'm looking for it on the map, but I'm not really finding it. I think it was the ice cap test was the last one that was supposed to go before they signed the test ban treaty. And so that tower that was in 1990. Oh, was it 1 or 3? 3? And that was it was supposed to be detonated, and like a week before it was supposed to go, they signed the treaty. So they left it sitting out for years and years, and I don't know if it's still out there actually. Yeah. What? Because I mean, honestly, because they probably had it funded, and they were going to go back into it once the test ban treaty got lifted, if it ever got lifted, which it didn't. So, kind of mothballed it, basically. Yeah. Yes. If you went, so that's, again, more test towns. In fact, the Apple II house, that whole city out there, yeah, for good reasons, population expanded too much to keep testing. Right, yeah. I mean, Vegas got big, and they were downwind sometimes, and that just wasn't good. But so those houses out there, you can see them on the map right now. They actually built, those are some of the houses that are still standing. In fact, they're on the National Historic Register, so I don't think they can destroy them at this point. But those are the ones that they set nukes off also nearby, and I believe the Apple II is on a famous test reel where you can see it burning the paint off the house before the blast wave hits. So you got the thermal pulse and all the X-rays, thermal pulse, and you see basically the big white flash, and everything that can combust that's facing the flash combusts, and that's freaky as heck. So if you think about modern days and everything, if you thought about a situation where that would happen today, your curtains, your paint, your shingles, your shakes, your trees would all start smoking and maybe even catch on fire, and then moments later the blast wave hits. So it's definitely something to watch. It's definitely something to think about. It's really kind of just crazy stuff. Yeah, nukes are nasty, vile things. Yeah, they are. And we're like the newer generation. I don't think understands that, and I don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole. Just because I want to keep the channel, light spirited. But yeah, suffice it to say, I don't think that a lot of people understand the power. Oops, I accidentally put my flaps down when I was messing around with the with my joystick. Sorry. Yep. Yeah, it's set to one of my buttons, and I don't think I realized it. But anyway, Pahut Mesa airstrip's right in front of us. We'll land there real quick. So this is, again, Pahut Mesa. This is where they did some of the staging for the underground testing. They also set some above-ground nukes out here, too. I mean, it wasn't all just back in Frenchman Flat. They kind of had them on Yucca. They had them all over the place. But they set one off really close to the airport here, actually. But this was, again, a staging area for some of the tests they did out in the northwest part of the complex. So we'll head out there shortly after landing here. We'll just do a, let's see here. Ooh, the wind is now light out of the north, so we'll do a right downwind for 36. And Pahut Mesa traffic, 4 Charlie Foxtrot, 2 miles 45 for the right downwind, 36, Pahut Mesa. Flight of maybe 2, 3. You guys are all kind of, everybody's all over the place right now, which is fine. I mean, you guys are free to do whatever you want. Yeah, but going back to that kind of that sentiment there that Begotten was talking about. Yeah, they're vile, nasty things, and there was a lot of generations that grew up with them, grew up with the fear of them, grew up with the tests or the drills, the air raid sirens. I remember those from my youth. Just that whole, nuclear Armageddon at any moment, which, really hasn't gone away, but it has, but it hasn't. But, yeah, they're vile. I mean, people underestimate how powerful they are. And people also overestimate how powerful they are, too. I mean, there is limitations to them. There are the physics are fairly well known about it. Yeah, the research and the science on them is amazing. I 100% agree. That's what fascinates me about it, And I was hooked on this stuff ever since, my dad took us out to this area, not this specific area, but to Death Valley, and we drove by all of this, and I knew it was out there, but I didn't really know anything about it, and just how neat that all is, and so there is some amazing stuff about it, but yes, at the end of the day, it's crazy scary. Because the ones they tested in front of those troops, those are little baby firecrackers. Hiroshima, Nagasaki, Chopper Josh just slamming it in there like an aircraft carrier landing. Hiroshima, Nagasaki, Fat Man, Little Boy, those are firecrackers. Those were nothing compared to, Castle Bravo, Ivy Mike. Of course, the Russians have their versions of it too, Sarbamba and everything else. But, I mean, you want to talk about destruction. That's unbelievable power. All right. Heading up still to the northwest here, guys. So another 12 miles. We'll get to Buckboard Mesa, see some of the underground emplacements and things like that, and then we'll turn around and head towards Rainier Mesa and Sedan Crater and Area 51. I'm sorry, say that again there, Duanian. Yeah, that's Sarbamba. That was Sarbamba. And that sucker was dialed down too. I mean, that could have gone actually bigger than it was, and they dialed it down. But yeah, they did a lot. Yeah, that was a big H-bomb. You bet. One of the biggest one ever deployed. Yeah. I mean, that sucker, people heard it from like 800 miles away or something like that. If you can imagine. Of course, they dropped it off on the island out in the middle of nowhere. But yeah, that was that thing was something else, and it's it was propaganda. It was obviously there's some tests involved with it too. Just a proof of concept and everything else. But more than anything, they just wanted to scare the heck out of us. Nice work, Josh. Nice work. A little nose job there. And of course, we did our own too. I mean, it went back and forth. There's a whole film studio. What is the name of that? Hidden Hills? No. There is a whole studio in the Hollywood Hills. There's an Air Force studio in there, and I think, what's his name? Who played the Joker lives there now. Not Heath Ledger, obviously. No. Nope. Nope. What's his name? Josh. Jared Leto. Thank you. Thanks, Begotten. Begotten with the answer. Got it. Jared Leto. Thank you. Yep. I know. But anyway, he lives there now. But it's an old Air Force station, and basically they were in the Hollywood Hills, and it was it's where they basically put all the films together for these nuclear tests and stuff like that, and also a lot of other things, and some of it was as propaganda basically. And that house, it's turned into a house now, and you can still see it there, and doesn't count as Joker, but you knew what I was talking about. Yeah, you know what? Here's the funny part. I haven't even seen that movie, so. No, so the flight computer actually calculates these waypoints as fly-by waypoints instead of fly-over waypoints. So it does a curve, and it doesn't even curve to the waypoint. So we're going towards waypoint 9 right now. Richard Green 143 asks, why not test in Alaska instead? Good question. They did test in Alaska. What was the name of the island? Can't think of it off the top of my head. They blew the heck out of this island. Somebody can look it up. Maybe I can with my other hand here. No, it was in the Aleutians. Which one was it? Amchitka Island. Yeah, they set off. That was like a 2 megaton or something like that. That was a pretty good size one. I think it was the top of a Spartan missile, and they stuck that thing down in a hole. And there's video of that one, slow-mo video. There's good video of that one. And all the buildings on the island, they put on shock absorbers, and they set this thing off, and that island done jumpeth. No, it didn't cease to exist. It's still there. But those buildings jumped. I mean, like all the trailers and everything above it, they're like rocking and rolling. You guys got to check out that video. It's pretty good. Amchitka, I'll spell it. I'll type it. Amchitka. So look that up. Project Chariot, I believe. So Amchitka, yeah. So this area out here, again, a lot of underground tests. So the Buckboard Mesa and the Rainier Mesa area is where they started going. They took a lot of their above ground and shaft testing and started doing more tunnel testing. So they would dig in under these mesas and have this whole complex of tunnels. And the reason for that is because it's easier to move experimentation around in those versus a drilled shaft where you have to winch it out of there and all that other stuff. And yeah, that's these areas. They had a lot of that kind of stuff. Rainier Mesa, I think, had more of the underground than the Buckboard here. Buckboard had some above ground and some underground. So, pretty though. It's pretty territory. It's worth just flying through. I mean, I just like the views. I always thought this looked neat from the satellite, but it's even cooler from the air. And looking off north there is Tonopah test range. So You got an appointment to glasses at 11 a.m. You should go to bed. Yeah, man. You're East Coast. I feel your pain. I'm not quite there, but yeah, absolutely. You can join us on another day. Probably this weekend. I will be back on my flight. Might do some flying in between, but shorter. Just some. Like I said, I might go up to Lake Tahoe tomorrow night, just for a little bit, and fly around in the float planes. So if you guys haven't heard, if you haven't been around, check out the Bush League Legends. That's who I fly with twice a week. And they do a stream on Mondays and Thursday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern, and that's kind of the main official stream. And then I just started doing a stream at 7 p.m. Pacific on Monday and Thursday nights, following the same exact flight plan that they do, but just a little later, because I know there's people who can't get on at 7 Eastern. So for all you West Coasters or people who just have other plans that are earlier in the evening, I got permission to do that. It's official, unofficial, and I'm humbled and happy to be leading that. So you can check out my stream for that. Check out the other one too. It's worth it. Great group of guys, but they're all very heavily into the modding and community, whether that's liveries, scenery, and aircraft. And so they've got a whole, again, this is for those of you who joined us, they've got a whole bunch of different mods to the X-Cub that are free, and they're fantastic. Like this one I'm flying right now, this is the Tundra Cargo, so it's got a cargo pod that can hold extra fuel, extra cargo, and we've got these big old 27-inch tires on it, so we can land on unimproved fields a lot easier. There is a ski version with skis, so it can land on snow, and it's actually much more effective on snow than the wheeled version, as you would expect. And then they've got a float version that's in beta, and I don't think that's available to the public yet, but I'm going to take that up and fly that tomorrow night. So if you are on the Bush League Discord, you can get it. So join the Bush League Legends Discord server, and again, they have links to it there, and you can get it. It's not like they're hiding it from anybody, but it's still got some work to do, I think, but it's getting close to being released. And so tomorrow night I might go up to Tahoe and fly around in the float plane up there. Or the ski plane, both. And but otherwise tonight, we got more flying to do. So thanks for joining again. And just a note, tomorrow night being Thursday night, normally we do have part of the journey around the world with Bush League. I didn't really explain that well, but we're going around the world. You can check it out on the site where we're stopping. We're in the middle of we're in the Canary Islands right now, heading back to Morocco and heading down the west coast of Africa. About 25 to 30 people, I would say. Would you guys say on a given night? And my stream's a little bit lighter, which is fine, and it's growing. But tomorrow night we're not doing it. It's a night off because the leader super kicked me. It's his birthday, so we're taking a night off tomorrow night. We're all doing our own things. So Monday night we'll reconvene for the journey. So if any of you are, thanks for the follow, Dave. 797. 797. There we go. Right. Ambitious new Boeing product. We'll maybe see someday. I do. I had him at one point. And I'm being a total noob with all the modules and overlays for the stream. I gotta get that hooked back up. So what I did is I got Streamlabs OBS Prime so I can multi-stream, and when I switched over to that, I nuked a bunch of things. Oh, there's an appropriate thing to say around here. And anyway, I gotta get back into that. Yeah, you're right. I gotta fix that. So maybe I'll do some testing tomorrow. This is Rainier Mesa here, so this is where a lot of tunnel tests were done. That's actually a really cool mesa. That is a really cool mesa. I've never seen this in close 3 dimensions like this. That's really neat. I didn't realize it was so narrow. Definitely a drop off on both ends, right? Very cool. And if you tool around enough in here, you can find the entrances to these underground test sites, the tunnel type test sites. I believe they're right in here, actually, off to our 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock. There's some roads that kind of just disappear, and you can see tunnel entrances and things like that. I think, in fact, right below us. Yeah, lots of crazy stuff back in these hills. Nice job, Gridfield. Love it. Flying down the chute. Looks like you're in a CJ4. Haven't really flown that yet, except the landing challenges. And I'm just taking in the scenery from up here. Just kind of giving you guys a tour. You obviously, welcome to come back and read up on this stuff and get a better idea than I can give you here. Just giving you kind of an overview, and appreciate you guys following along. In front of us here, as you can see, we've got Sedan Crater, and that was a big old crater set off. Basically, that was part of Project Plowshare, or Operation Plowshare. And basically what they did is set off a fairly strong nuke, but not a huge one. It was only like, I want to say, like 100 kilotons or so. It wasn't the biggest one. There's video of it. There's great video of it going off. But they set it off really shallow. And it was only like a couple 100 feet below ground. And so they were trying, Project Plowshare was basically them trying to, the old verse, beat your plowshares into, or your swords into plowshares. So nuclear weapons being the sword, and peaceful uses of nuclear weapons being the plowshare. And they were trying to figure out ways, one of the most comical ways or ideas that they had to use nuclear weapons peacefully was to create a new alternative to the Panama Canal. So they're going to line a bunch of these suckers up in a row and detonate them and try to do a gap. Well, they found out pretty quickly that that produces a lot of radiation, a lot of fallout, and that was abandoned. But that was the original thought with all of that. So if you can imagine them lining up a couple dozen megaton range nukes and setting them all off in sequence to try to move Earth, and it didn't work too well. So Plowshare was kind of didn't really. I mean, there was obviously some things that they took from it, but in terms of using nukes for it, it was abandoned. So that is Sedan Crater, and the Apollo astronauts trained down there. It's because it resembled the surface of the moon. And this is one of the sites on the tour. So if you ever go to the Nevada Test Site tour, I hear they take you right up to the edge of the crater, and there's like a plaque and an overlook and all this other stuff. Oh no, did I have it muted? I must have muted something there because I've been talking for like 15 minutes about Area 51, and I don't think anybody heard. I lost all the viewers too. Oh no, I'm so sorry, guys. Doc Dora, I was giving you total props too for getting in and getting out. Yeah, I'm back. I apologize. I must have muted it at some point. I apologize about that. My son comes in and talks to me, and I mute it when he comes in, and I must have forgotten. So I apologize. But anyway, I'll just talk about Area 51 and how I discovered it in like 7th and 8th grade and all the mystery around it. And basically, Dad took me on a trip down to we went on the trip to Death Valley to go camping, and they stopped in Rachel, Nevada, on Highway 375 there, the extraterrestrial highway, and went to the Area 51 like research center, which is like a little trailer in town, and it was operated by a guy named Glenn Campbell, and not the country singer, and but he was just like not a conspiracy theorist, more just like a self like an autodidact, like a guy who kind of like me, who reads up a lot about it and wants to learn about things going on and kind of keep people accountable and stuff like that. But he didn't really believe in any aliens or anything like that. He just knew the military was out here heavily. And so I was telling Duanian here that this ridge used to be that was called Freedom Ridge, and they used to actually sit up there in lawn chairs and watch the base until the Air Force land grabbed that in the mid 90s. I think it was 95 or so. They land grabbed it right before I got there, actually. So I went on a trip down there and went to the border of Area 51. So I've got photos of the signs that say no photography allowed and all that other stuff, and the guards up on the hill and everything looking down at me and our group. And I went back there again a couple years after that too. So I've actually been to the border twice. But yeah, so Area 51 here. This is Groom Lake Air Force Base. This is officially part of the Nellis Air Force Base. I think it's a detachment, but it was built, and this runway here is actually the newer runway. The runway to the left is the old one, and it actually crosses Groom Lake there, that dry lake, and goes. It's like 7 miles long, and basically it was built for the U-2 spy plane, and so Lockheed Skunk Works basically operated this on behalf of the CIA, because the U-2 was initially built for the CIA, and then they expanded operations out here because it was like, oh, here's a place where we can really, Nevada test site's bordering on one side, nobody can go there, so we've got a good, defensible border on one side, and the other side nobody lives out there, and nobody knows really what's going on. So they built an air base here, and tested the U-2, and then eventually the A-12, which was the ox cart, which is a predecessor to the SR-71, and the A-12 was actually designed to be an interceptor, and a really fast interceptor, and then it ended up turning into the strategic reconnaissance aircraft that we know as the SR-71, slightly redesigned, no weapons or anything like that, obviously. Switch tanks here, not a good place to switch tanks right up before takeoff, but that's what you do. And then over the years, of course, they continued to develop weapons and really exotic aircraft out here. So still in operation, probably more in operation today than it was in the 90s. They talk about the Aurora, which is another like hypersonic reconnaissance aircraft, rumored to exist. They also had the Red Hat Squadron out here, which was a fleet of MiGs that had defected from various Soviet bloc countries. They brought them out here, and they took them apart, and then they had our pilots fly them and do air combat training against our planes to see how they would do in real combat. And so they had a squadron of those out here in hangars that the Russians really, I don't know if they knew about them. They probably did. I mean, given the the fact that if two people know anything, it's not a secret anymore. But yeah, it's kind of crazy. And then they did a lot of radar cross-section testing out here. There's platforms for that. Stuck in, there's a great picture of a like a mock-up of an SRR-71 or an A-12 on a pole, upside down, and they could basically move that around to see the different cross-sections that the radar would generate on these various aircraft that were based out there at the time, that were being developed. So if you look down here, those parking spots are where I'll download it, Dr. You're right. I will do that. That's where those F-16s are parked in the overhead views, though. So I'm pretty sure they're armed. At least the photos I saw looked like they were. Some of the big hangars out here. I mean, a lot of this stuff has been improved in the last decade or two. So it was kind of at one time kind of a run-down airfield, and they've really spruced it up and beefed it up. And then some of the other problems they ran into out here were these burn pits over here, and that is where they would paint different things on radar absorbent material on different aircraft for radar cross-section testing and stuff like that, and anything that was left over, they'd go burn it in these pits, and then there's a lot of lawsuits and cancers linked to that because it was really, really toxic, nasty stuff. So all right, so I'm just gonna we'll come back here another time. I mean, this is kind of just an overview. We could spend hours out here talking about it. I already did, and you guys didn't hear it. So I don't know how long I was on mute. I must have. Did you guys even hear me? Did you guys even hear me talk about Sedan Crater? I must have been on mute when we were talking about Sedan Crater. That sucks. I went into a whole spiel about how Sedan Crater, was only 100 kilotons, kind of a baby nuke, and how big it was. But it was only a couple hundred feet deep, and it was part of Project Plowshare, and that basically they were testing to see whether or not they could use nuclear weapons for peaceful purposes to dig things. And they actually, their idea was to do another, like an alternative to the Panama Canal through, was it Guatemala or somewhere close to Panama, but not in Panama, and some other channels also in Alaska, and set a couple megaton range things up, back to back, and you can dig out a big trench. Well, they found out really quickly through Sedan that creates a lot of fallout, and they abandoned that idea. So yeah, that was better than the first time I told it. Good. All right. Sorry about that, guys. I try to mute when my kids come in because they don't want to be on my stream, and I must have forgotten to take it off. Even though I thought I did, my hand usually stays on it, like almost like the landing gear lever, but I must have hit it twice or something. So yeah, that was the Sedan, and then they practiced like the moon landing in there, and or the rover, the Apollo astronauts trained down in there, and it's kind of cool, and it's on the tour. So if you go down there, if you go on the Nevada Test Site tour, that Sedan Crater is on the tour because it's like on the National Register of Historic Places. So lots of cool stuff out there. But there's Area 51. So you guys got to see that. That's Bald Mountain up there. There's a really high-powered camera up there, everybody thinks, that can like look over the entire Area 51. So there's some lore about that too. Not sure how valid it is. Lore. Well, people say there's like an elevator that goes up to the top. There's like a tunnel that goes under it, and then an elevator that goes to the top of it. I don't know. You look on Google Earth, you can kind of try to find that stuff. So this is the road into Area 51. Now, most of the workers get to Area 51 through the Janet flights, which are kind of well known. They come out of McCarran, and there's a terminal there, and they're owned by EG&G, and they're 737s. I think they're 800s now, or 700s series, and they have they're white with a red stripe, and they fly those out of there constantly, and they fly up here. So either to Desert Rock and Mercury or Groom Lake. So I mean, it's still very operational. The Air Force now at least acknowledges it exists, but they don't like to talk about it. But again, this road was one of the main roads in here, and this just goes around. There's again Freedom Ridge over there, where they used to have lawn chair parties and watch the goings on at the base, all the exotic things. Who else is out there right now? Where we got everybody? Everybody still hear me? How are we doing on the stream? I know the other night at 3 hours my stream cut off suddenly, and we're just over 3 hours right now, so I'm not sure if you guys are still on there. Somebody give me a hello in the stream. I know Duan, you can hear me. All good, Doctor. Thank you. Okay. Oh, you can see that you're watching the stream. Gotcha. Okay. So anyway, yeah. Would have loved to talk a little bit more about the Nevada test site when I was actually there and pointing out things, and you guys missed some of that, but we'll have to do it again sometime. But yeah, this is where a lot of people like to play reindeer games with all the security guards. All those trails out there, Jeep trails for the security guards and their 4x4s, and people like to go along the border and mess with them and film it and all this other stuff. So I want to say that's Whitesides Mountain in front of us there. There's the guard shack though, so don't go any farther than that. Your trip will come to an end. And you can see there's a little security outpost right there at the top of that hill next to it. Back in the day, people got arrested like a year or two on a tour. I believe that, yeah. Back in the day, the old border was right here, and that's as far as I went. And then and then people said, no, actually, it's actually at the guard shack or whatever. But the signs and the fences all start right there, and they all scream, "Get out!" So that's as far as I got. So I've been there twice to that little border, and what we saw, see the trail up to the hill there. We saw them on the hill looking down at us, because you take this road in, and that's Groom Lake Road. So there are apparently sensors all along that road that basically watch you or sense your magnetic or acoustically, I'm not sure, or just trip rate RF or whatever, and they know you're coming in. So, but yeah, people have been arrested. I mean, you remember when they were all going to do a Naruto run out there like a year ago? Dumb. Oh, how quickly everybody just went, no, this is not real, guys. Let's not do this. Well, and that's weird, because you have a very similar situation where it was a social media thing gets out of control, and then all of a sudden you got people doing it, and boom. So that they really, the Air Force was very adamant to say, look, don't come in here, because it won't end well for you. Naruto run or not. So I think basically they threatened the organizer of the event, and said, you need to be very adamant in calling this off, because you're going to be liable if anybody gets shot. And so they did. And then the whole but anyway, they met in Rachel, which is where we're headed right now, and they kind of invaded the town a little bit, and I think somebody got arrested, or a couple people got arrested for just being idiots, but it did not end up being the Naruto run into Area 51. Just I don't remember what he did though. What did he do?
He did one that he was during a live broadcast.
Oh, sure. Okay. Yeah, I think they called it like Storm Area 51 or something like that. Just not a smart idea. Well, now I've got low fuel, so we are getting close to the end of our flight here. We're going to circle back around, head down the highway here, and over to Alamo, which is just over that ridge. So just heading up to Rachel, show you guys what that's about, because it's part of the whole Area 51 legend and everything else. If nothing else, if you ever go out to this area, try to find when they're doing the red flag exercise, because you will see so many aircraft and some exotic ones too. You'll see some stuff from Europe and other countries, NATO countries, and they'll be flying low. They'll be flying B-1s at a couple hundred feet off the ground. They'll be flying B-52s, every F-series aircraft you can think of. And they're doing all sorts of stuff. Sonic booms, dropping flares all over the place. If you can see it in the restricted area, they'll actually drop bombs, but that's harder to see. Air-to-air combat, everything. Get to see an F-22 whale on like 8 F-15s, because that's what they do. It's ridiculous. Those things are so. They kick the crud out of everything. They're ridiculously OP. They're OP to the hilt. Anyway, but Rachel's a good place, and this whole area, and this is all like BLM land. The parts that aren't divvied off for the military. Nevada's like, outside of the cities it's all owned by the federal government, so you can camp just about anywhere. Just about anywhere. As long as you're like far enough off the road. One of these, there's at least 2 Nevadans in here that will talk about that. That probably know that you can do that. And so yeah, I mean, it's good camping. Go up into the hills and watch the military play their games out here. Just make sure like I said, they publicize the red flag several months in advance, and they give you kind of when they're doing it, and go out there with a scanner and listen and watch them do their thing. It's pretty cool. Duanian doing looks like a loop. Yes. And I just think it's pretty out here. Again, I love this scenery. I love the different colors. Lots of mining up here too, and so the Groom mine was at the foot of Bald Mountain up there, and the Air Force actually had to buy the family out that owned the Groom mine. And every once in a while, up until not too long ago, they would get like old prospectors that didn't know any better come walking through Area 51 looking for the Groom mine, and they'd have to shoo them out. Yeah, the geography and the geology out here are just awesome. All these up-tilted blocks, and it's just so cool. All right, so waypoint 13. If you're into the whole Area 51 thing, that is Rachel, Nevada, and we are closing in here on the end of our evening. Once we turn around here, it's kind of a shot to Tikaboo and then to Alamo. So we've got about 30 miles left or so after we get to Rachel. Not far. Yeah, this is where the little alien is, and this is where all the UFO-minded people meet. Yeah, it's out there somewhere. And Begotten was kind of laughing at me earlier, but again, for anybody new on this, I do not have any first-hand knowledge of this, or even second-hand knowledge. This is all publicly available or guessed at. reading that I've done over the years, books, and way before internet was a thing, and so you can look a lot of this stuff up too, and it's probably filled with half-truths and good guesses too. But I'm definitely not breaking any sort of security clearance or anything like that, because I never held one. So, dock door, nice formation, well done. Oh man, I should have looked behind me earlier. I'd fly less like an a-hole if I knew you were right on me like that. Not a very good flight leader, am I? All right, so there's Rachel right down in front of us. It ain't much to talk about. It's just a little stop. You've got Penoyer Farms out there with the circular center pivot irrigation. I want. That's what I wanted to see. I doubt it. I highly doubt it. Maybe in one of the scenery add-ons or mods. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to land on the highway. We'll see. The wind is coming out of the north, so we'll just following you down here, Duanian. You're way too far. Where'd you go? I don't even see you right now. Oh, I see you now. You're coming up on my my 7 o'clock. Yep, I'm just gonna land there in front of the little alien. We can all take a picture. Are there some places in the U.S. where you can legally land on the road? Okay, so that is more of a question for the state and local laws than it is the FAA. There is, given you've done enough pre-flight planning and you know whether the road is safe enough to land on, including scoping out for vehicles and things like that, you can land on a road. There is no straight prohibition for it in the FAA. It's just some precautions have to be taken. And I'm like way fast, so I'm just going to bleed off speed above ground here. There is nothing strictly illegal about it from a federal aviation regulation standpoint. That said, you may be in violation of state or local laws if you do that. So the local sheriff will be upset with you. But if you happen to crash because you landed on a road, because they're not really made for airplanes, the FAA will be all over you. So because you did not take proper precautions in securing a suitable landing spot. That's basically it. If that makes sense. There's your little alien. No signs. Doctor, do you know is this simulated in the mod? Let's take a little picture here. This would be cool. A little screenshot. And then like I said, about 15 minutes to Alamo and we're done for the night. So let me get in the external view. Let me see if I can. I got to get away from Wazinski, otherwise. Oh, you doing it? You can go ahead. Otherwise, he's going to be all stippled. There we go. That's good. All right. Okay. Carbon pod. I love it. Oh, I cannot drive this drone to save my life. That's about good enough, right? Say Gridfield. There's Gridfield. We'll wait for him. Or her. And I'm remiss that Josh was saying bye earlier and I did not say bye to him, so I'm remiss that I was muted when I said that. So if you watch this on the VOD later, Josh, good flying that 747. We'll see you another time. Where'd he go? Did he crash? Maybe he crashed out or disconnected. Oh, that's too bad. Okay, well we're gonna move on in the interest of time here. Let's get out to Tikaboo Peak. Let's buzz that, and Dr. says no, it's not modeled in that. So somebody's got to do that at some point, because why wouldn't you? If you're going to Area 51, you got to go to Rachel. Rachel. I'm just going to go back out to the highway and take off. So there's some bush pilot channels on YouTube where the guys land on a highway and stuff like that. And again, it's not something I would recommend. And maybe I should have that on. Maybe that I should have that on my stream, like a disclaimer at the bottom of it. Like, yeah, don't do anything that we're doing. Yeah, but right, every 5 seconds. Hey, don't shoot somebody. Don't take a rocket launcher and okay. Anyway, but yeah, that's I wouldn't because I guess I come from somewhat of a position of authority. I should tell you everything I say on this. Consult with a flight instructor before you try any of it in a real aircraft, or just don't. But yeah, that's good question, Wazinski. Yep. I wouldn't. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Sure. What's that stall speed again? Anyway. Yeah. Right. So one of the other things too. Oh yeah. Let's see if we can make it to Alamo. I did not gas up. We're really low on gas. This is gonna be funny. Switch tanks. Maybe have a little bit left. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I don't know if we'll make it. I don't know if we'll make it there. This is gonna be close. Yeah. It's just trade altitude and dead stick it the whole way. Ugh. I kind of want to land at the black mailbox, but maybe that's not such a good idea now. What were we talking about? We were talking about landing on the road. So some reasons you don't want to land on a road, obviously traffic. But the biggest thing actually is it's just not. The roads aren't wide enough. You don't have a lot of clearance, and so these roads out here are an exception because they are exceptionally clear on the sides of them. You can see that. You can see how much brush has been cleared on either side. And they're flat, and there aren't any signs or anything like that, or power lines. But it's the signs and the power lines that you really got to watch out for. If you pick a road, like my instructor would always say, we do an engine cut, and you go, where are you going to land? And I'd immediately pitch for best speed or best glide, and get the aircraft all trimmed out, and go through your whole engine failure flow, which is a emergency flow, which is a memory item. And if you fail to restart, then you are looking for a place to land. And roads were always kind of the last choice. Like sometimes they were okay if you could really scope it out well and ascertain that there no traffic, no power lines or anything like that. But a lot of times that's what ends up happening is you end up hitting a power line, especially in obviously more busier areas. So this is the extraterrestrial highway, Highway 375. Everybody still on? I've got 6 viewers now, so I've lost everybody. Probably everybody went to sleep. We're in the part that's no longer exciting. We've seen it all. But we're going to finish this here. And so yeah, out in front of us. So we always played this game with my dad, where it would be like, how far is it to where the road ends? And I'll tell you who the champion at this game is. And she never played it with my dad, but my wife, she like has this just nails it every time within like a couple tenths of a mile. But you come over a ridge, basically like right there at that corner. and you're now down in this basin between ranges, and you say, okay, how far is it to the end of the road there? And we'd all guess, and I'll tell you what, my old man, if he was really good at something, it was keeping us occupied in the car. Before there were Game Boys, before there were obviously everything that there is now, smartphones and everything. But we always played all these games in the car. He was always prepared, and he'd keep our attention outside the vehicle and stop us from killing each other. And I mean, it didn't always work, but but that was one of the games we always played. And I'll tell you what, there is nothing to kill 13 miles than to play that game, because you're watching the odometer the entire way, going, I'm going to win this thing. I'm going to win this. And we're probably playing for like a quarter or something, or to pick the song on the radio. Gosh, yeah, he was a master at that. He just, he was a coach. He was he just had a way of keeping people entertained. So, yeah, it was pretty cool. But anyway, so yeah, my wife is a pro at that. So of course, we play with my kids now, and one of them won't hear it, the other one will hear it and not care, and the third one will look it up on Google Maps. Kobayashi Maru? Kobayashi Maru, yeah. Yep. It's totally, yeah. That's how you beat it. Well, they still, when we took our first trip out there, my kids were really little. When we took our first trip out to California, and we made it all the way, and I live in the Midwest, so we made it all the way to Salt Lake City before we busted out the DVD player, and we thought that was good. And my daughter, who was 1 at the time, we were coming out of the Wasatch Mountains there at Parlay Summit in Salt Lake City, and she got an ear block from coming down the mountain. And so the little black mailbox is down there. Is that it? It's not in the game. No way. No, it's a tree or something. So it's the famous black mailbox is it's actually up ahead of us yet. Is basically where all the UFO people would meet. And it was owned by Steve Medlin, who was a rancher out here, had a bunch of cows, and it was his mailbox, and he hated that people would gather at it. And I don't know I don't think it's still there. Let me see. Yeah, right. But it's such it's a legend. Again, if whoever ends up doing a scenery mod for the Lil Alien would have to do one for the black mailbox. I mean, that's just legendary. Well, this is great. Thank you for all sticking around with me, even through my my 5 minutes of mute. Was it 5 minutes? Was it that long? I'll have to go back and watch the tape. Right, you don't hear it when I mute because I'm on. You and I are on Discord. 10? Oh man, that is a killer. God. That's where the black mailbox is, right down there, at that intersection, and because that's Medlin Ranch right out there, and then Groom Lake Road and Area 51 back there. So hopefully we can make it over the mountains here. You thought it was just you? I know, man. I feel awful. Like you don't even know. Like I'm gonna wake up tomorrow and go, God dang it. I'll get over it eventually. Yeah. Well, I was like, why is nobody responding to me? Like, this is good stuff. This is content, man. Duanyan's like, really? Yeah, yeah. And you guys are hearing him. Oh, no, but you're coming in over my headphones, and my headphones were active to the stream, so I'm sure they heard you. Yeah. Anyway, you could hear bits of him, so you could hear him responding to me. Yeah, that's great. It's like listening to somebody on a phone call. Yes. That is correct. Okay, did we just give, like, we're totally giving away our age here. We barely knew Ed McMahon, though, like, in Johnny Carson. I mean, that's like our parents watched that, and it was like super. You restarted Twitch? Oh no. So you restarted Twitch because of my, oh god. Awful content, Charlie Foxtrot. Just awful. Oh, note to self. Don't suck next time. And you know what the thing is? I turned that button red. So it's red when it's on mute. And it was hidden behind my phone. My Stream Deck was behind my phone. So my son comes in. He wants to talk about, something. And so I mute it. I talk to him for a second, and my hand's on it, and I go, okay, I'm going to unmute it, and I do, and we go back, and I must have just hit it. I must have double hit it or something. Didn't see it. Dumb. I wish there was I need something on my screen. I need to task something to my screen that tells me when I'm muted. Anyway. Blame it on the boy. Yeah, it's my son's fault. Yep, totally. You hear that? No, he can't hear me. He can't hear me. He's listening to something on his AirPods. But no, again, I appreciate you guys following me this whole time. We're coming up to the end of the stream here in about 10 minutes and or less. This has been a long one, and but I appreciate you guys sticking through it, muting and all. And it's been a fun flight. We will continue this series, like I said. I'm thinking probably Saturday. I like to tomorrow night. I'm going to do some tooling around Lake Tahoe with the floats in the X Cub from Bush League Legends, and we're going to head out to on Friday night. I generally don't stream much unless something wacky goes on around my house and I have time, and then Saturday I do. So we'll probably get on Saturday afternoon, evening, and go on this flight a little bit more. So the next leg of this flight, and we'll talk about it a little bit when we land. I'm going to head down to. We're going to go down to St. George, Utah, because it's just gorgeous there, and there's more stuff to talk about there. So down below us, that's Peekaboo Peak there. Almost like Peekaboo Street. That's Peekaboo Street, or Peak. So again, good view of the base. You can see it out there in the distance, but you're talking 20-something miles, and it is, or 30 miles or so, and it's out there. So you can have a high power scope, but there's going to be a lot of particles in the air because of all the dust and the wind that's always out here. And it's going to be a worse view. But a lot of people have videos of them going up the trailheads right there at the end of that road, and then it's not too bad of a hike up there. So just wear sunscreen, and I think there's a camera up there too. I'm pretty sure the base has a camera up there to monitor. Yeah, this is really gorgeous out here. Really cool. So. The Paranagat National Wildlife Refuge. So we'll head into Utah. And the point of that, I was debating whether to go south into Arizona or north into Utah, and I've chosen to go north into Utah. Oh, my track IR is freaking out. We're gonna go north into Utah because we've got the ski cub, the Alpine Cub, and I want to throw some skis on this sucker and land in the snow a couple times. Flying to the mountains. There's some beautiful mountain flying in Utah, and we can check it out in the snow and come back in the summer and check it out in the not snow. But that is at Bush League Legends. Go into the downloads in the MSFS and then the aircraft, and there are quite a few mods in there. But yes, we're high for Alamo right now. By the way, this is the airport right in front of us. Yeah, so they have quite a few mods. They're awesome. They do a great job with them, and we're gonna throw on the skis and go flying in Utah. And then I think we'll. I don't know if we'll get all the way over to. Oh yeah, the floats are on Discord. That's correct. Yep. Thanks, Wazinski. You're exactly right. We may fly down to some of the big 5 national parks down there. I don't know if we'll get as far as like Arches, which is like Moab and Canyonlands and stuff like that. I might save that for when we come back down through Colorado. But we may go to like Zion and Capitol Reef and all these others down here. So, but we'll kind of stay again more on the southwestern side of Utah than the southeastern side of Utah. Come do that another time. Maybe in the summer. Fly up and we'll end up in Salt Lake City at some point, and then I'd like to get up to Jackson Hole and Yellowstone in that whole area. So that is I don't think we'll do that all in one day, obviously. That's a long way, but that's the plan. We'll do some more bush flying. Yeah, leave the mute button undone, right. No, I think all you guys really missed was me talking about Sedan Crater and then starting to talk about Area 51, and I think I covered most of it. So we are on a left base for 3-2. Wazinski just hanging out in the slot dock door. Thank you guys for flying this whole thing. I gotta get you guys on the stream too. So let's. Wazinski, I'm pretty sure I sent both of you an invite at one point or another. Oh, I am out of gas. I am dead stick. No, it's not perfect because I'm going to be short. I'm going to be short. I do have some gas in my other tank. Ooh, this is going to be close. I don't know. Props windmilling. Pole prop back. I cannot believe I might make this. Oh, you're coming in like way nose high though. You stalled that sucker on. Now this is the problem right here. Is I'm coming in base to final, load factors increasing, stall speeds increasing. This is when you spin it in. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Nope. I'm at stall, but I'm okay. Crappy landing. I kind of knocked myself off the runway a little bit. But it's dirt. You'll handle that. Look at that. That was an honest to God dead stick too. That was like, hey, actually I still have 8% fuel in one tank, but I decided to let it ride. I was like, okay, I'm coming in a little low. I'm gonna increase throttle, and there was no power. I was like, uh-oh. Yeah, that was fun. Thank you guys. So again, let me look at the map real quick here. I'll make it bigger for you guys to see. So we'll go. Yeah, we're just gonna park on the runway here because I don't have a choice. You know, an area that's really cool too that you guys got to check out is Great Basin National Park. If you've ever been up there towards Ely, it is beautiful. It is not. It's the national park that the least amount of people know about, but it is absolutely gorgeous up there. So that's something I highly recommend if you get a chance to go up there. But we'll head down, like I said, probably head down 93 a little bit towards Vegas again. So maybe we can hit. I don't know if we'll go all the way to Perkins, but Mesquite. I got to turn the auto center off. Otherwise, it's going to keep on doing that. St. George. A lot of really good. The scenery around St. George is just gorgeous. I know you Nevadans know that. Maybe Colorado City. Kind of. We'll mess around in this area here, so there'll be a lot of cool stuff. Bryce Canyon and everything. So yeah, it'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it. We'll do that on Saturday. So yeah. Cool, man. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I mean, the desert's always been a place for me. It's always been a soft spot for me because of, nostalgia's sake. But it's beautiful, and it's beautiful in its own way. And you got to know what to expect from it. And, well, actually, to be honest with you, hey-o, Puppy Ride. How's it going? We're just ending here. I haven't seen you pop on the stream yet, but we're just ending our flight here. Unfortunately, we're just debriefing and talking about the next time, which will be Saturday for this series that I'm doing on Mountain West bush flying. But yeah, we're just about the desert and stuff like that. I've been surprised by it. Like when I was younger, we'd take these trips and you don't know what to expect necessarily. Turn my lights off and everything here, and I was always blown away by the desert. I was always blown away by the views and everything like that. But I think it's because the first few times I went out there was always like in November, December area time, and the Nevada desert in that time, the high desert is it's a mix of snow and not snow, and it's so every one of those ranges out here, and you see them all. You see wherever there's trees, basically, you can count on there being snow in the winter. And so it's just snowy mountain range, and then dry valley, snowy mountain range, dry valley, and it's just really pretty. The clouds are gorgeous, the sky is beautiful, and so it always has it's always got a place in my heart. But anyway, so yeah. That's that. I think next flight, because we won't be in any restricted airspace, we'll hop on VATSIM too, or at least I will, and make actual radio calls and actually fly a little bit more like a pilot than I don't know what I was doing today. I was kind of just flying casual like Chewbacca. Yep. VATSIM's fun. It's interesting. We talked about that the other day. It needs to be more VFR stuff. There needs to be more pilots on there doing these little airports and stuff. And it's unfortunate that it's not more heavily participated. But it's fun. I mean, hey. And then I get to at least pretend I'm talking to somebody on the radio. So, all right. Well, that's it for me, guys. I'm gonna go to bed. I'm going to turn into a pumpkin here. So let me get one last screenshot here of everybody. I'll roll back the map here a little bit too, so you guys can all see. I brought it back. I brought it back down. Let's see here. Let's get the drone out again that I can't fly. It's probably still back in Rachel. Oh, nope, there it is. Oh, fantastic. Let's get. Can we gain some altitude here? Gosh, I have these buttons set to do different modes, like tracking on and off, next target or whatever, and it just screws me up. Like it does not make it easier for me. And my sensitivity is super high too. Let's see if we can get a. Oh, Wazinski kind of disappeared on me though. I don't know if he left. I think he might have left. Oh, that's unfortunate. Well, his tag is still there. Oh, there he is. Hey, that works. And then I'll take one without it, without the tags on there. Fantastic. All right, guys. Good night. Thanks for flying. Yep. So long.